something Monday. Yay! That. There you go. It's your introduction for the week. Hey, everybody. Good to see you. As classic as always, sorry I'm a little bit late today. You won't believe it, but, it's just the tech. It's, how the tech goes. We're currently going through a little storage crisis. So bear with us. Actually, fair warning. Some of the elements in this stream are running off of our server, and our server's having some problems right now. So you may notice some lags, stutters, and hitches over the course of the day. I promise, yes, that is bad, but we're working on getting that fixed. Where's my eraser? We gotta update Toes Gang for the day. How was everybody's weekend? How's your Sunday, Saturday? Where in the sweet grary... Where's my marker? Do we need a whiteboard marker? Toes. Okay. There we go. All right, I got a marker. So, like I was saying, just a heads up on the other stuff that's going on. There's the hitching. Yeah, is it hitching? If it gets too bad, we'll have to just hold on. I'm gonna have to go out to the store and grab a hard drive, and hopefully that gets us solved. But there's like this constant beeping in the background. It's in critical error mode, and it's not ideal. Basically, the entirety of Space Tomato Gaming is kind of on hold until we can get this figured out, video-wise. So we're gonna try and do this basically immediately. I have no eraser. I have nothing. I can't. Still just don't have all the supplies. Just use this shoe. There we go. That did it. All right. Ow. Toes Gang. How you guys doing this morning? Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome in. Zayeth, I think, is already up here because I freaking started the stream this morning and saw him drop freaking 50 subs over the weekend. Stream Santa-ing. Appreciate you, Zayeth, wherever you are. Hope you're having a good one. And had a good weekend, my dude. You gotta drive to pick up a drive? Yep. Drive for the drive, dude. Drive for the dry bolts and dropping 10... You didn't like... I just erased the name, man. Well, Toes Gang it is then. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Toes! In the house. But yeah, it was, we had a fun weekend. We, did a little eating, had some folks over. It was a good time with, good friends, great people. Got to do some work, had the podcast. If you haven't seen that, it's a pretty good watch. I would check it out. And, went to a little protest. Little gathering of the people. Who's in here on Twitch? I'm going to give everybody a chance to get in here because we're going to get started quick today. Well, not quick, but we're going to get straight into the deep end of things. We're going to talk about the Paladin. The Anvil Paladin is our ship of the week this week because I think it might be the sleeper that comes at Invictus that people aren't expecting. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we... Hold on, before I keep going, we got gifters on Twitch actually dropping the mic. Anonymous, somebody came in and gifted a sub out, but Arctic Wolf, 16 months now, buddy. That's a good time. I hope you've been enjoying the stream. Hope it's evolved over time. Thaki gifting out a sub as well, and Maverick on 19 months. Now, Maverick, I feel like It's been so much longer than 19 months I've known you, but I appreciate you nonetheless, buddy. Thank you for always being here at the beginning of the streams, like beforehand. It's a good little preview. And Murs with the sub as well. Thanks for getting that hype train started on Twitch, guys. So, who else is here though? I didn't get to say all my hellos. Maverick, Vastin, Dancing, Rhino. Good to see you. AAK. I saw you in like the first message I saw, dude. Thaki. Cade. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you had a lovely weekend over on YouTube. Astro Monkey, Jock Cop, X86, Cade again, Mark and Balton, Jock, Sephiroth, right? Robert, Matt, Sully, my man Matt. Good to see you, dude. Reese. Hello, my friend. Tentacle Love, Trillin, Kerm, Vos, Mr. Monk, Abnormal Monk. Welcome in. Guys, make sure to give thanks out to people if they gifted you a sub or a membership. That'll get you access to the exclusive video coming out this week, all about exploration gameplay. They better drop the Perseus so you can kill the big worm with it. Dude, imagine how big a target that ship would be though if you like flew into that Hathor group area and and you were in a Perseus. Everybody be gunning for you. Oh, I'm like brushing up against a plastic bag over here and I keep hearing it. On the mic. This terrible noise. I'm like, what is that? Where is that coming from? It was my toes. Arctic, been a minute since you subbed? Well, thanks for doing it so this month, man. It helps a lot. Much love to you. Pulling the winner for the giveaway right now? That's right, we were supposed to pull that on Saturday. Sorry, my folks. Yeah, we gonna announce the new giveaway winner today for the Super Hornet. And then I'm thinking maybe we'll give away one of these new ships coming in, either the Golem or the Atlas Geo. Could be our next giveaway. A little more topical. You bring in an A1 and an A2 first to clean. I feel like that's what somebody's saying about your Perseus. Good morning, Kalishna. You're excited to have the Valkyrie and her big brother. Who's the Valkyrie's big brother? The Perseus? ASMR stream? Maybe we can make that a goal. I feel like someday we have to do like a Star Citizen lore reading. And I'll have Mrs. Tomato come in to do all of the female voices. And then I'll do all the male voices. And we'll do the music. And it'll be a nice little Star Citizen ASMR for anybody who wants to burn from the inside out of their brain. Sorry in advance. Oh, the Paladin is the Valk's big brother. Wait, is the Paladin bigger than the Valkyrie? I guess that's what we're gonna find out today. Ooh, hey guys with the bits, thank you so much. Pushing the hype train forward on Twitch. 25 seconds left to make the I hear this actually, the higher hype train we get, the faster we get to the next full moon. For those who care. Full moons are important. They're just pretty. They're not really, like, they don't do that much. Ken, good to see you, man. Gives a sharp salute. I would too, but I probably hit my head. I like tried to give a salute at some point recently. I don't know why, and I hit my head. And I was like, that's why I never do that. Your favorite Perseus, really neat too. Oh, the Paladin's your favorite. Really very much enjoy the medium large form factor. Well, like I said, oh, hype train complete on Twitch. Thanks, guys. Like I said, the first thing we're doing today is going over the Paladin, but we're also going to touch on 4.1. I want to do a little last preview on 4.1. Maybe they'll do a patch watch this week. I'm not really sure, but if they don't, then we basically know everything for 4.1, so I think we could do a little feature overview today. And then while we're doing that, actually before that, what? Oh, shoot. Hey, that's pretty cool.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Mr. Hazgaha.
The winner of this month's giveaway was Mr. Hazgaha.
Can you show though?
Yeah. It's a computer. Look at this computer. The winner of this month's giveaway was, they can't even see it on here. It's Mr. Hazgaha though. Like literally.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. And now everything's glitching because it's using the files from the NAS. Sorry about that. Wow. Yeah. So the Super Hornet winner, Mr. Hazgaha, who I'm not sure is much of a combat pilot, but I'm sure he'll make use of it. We'll get some good pictures at least. Congrats, dude, if you're listening. That's pretty freaking crazy. Yay! Super Hornet, yay! All right, the next giveaway. Okay, stop, guys. The next giveaway is going to probably start by the end of the week. Not during this stream, but after this stream, whenever we hit our goals again, it will kickstart the next giveaway, and that will likely be for one of the new vehicles coming out over the next week or two. Thank you, everybody who has helped us get to that giveaway, and thanks for everyone who participated. Thanks to CIG for helping to fund the giveaway, and thank you all for being cool people and actually being here and watching and participating and chatting and yelling and opinions and stuff. Lucid, thank you for renewing your membership on YouTube, by the way. They mentioned org storage in the social universe at around 4848, really hoping CIG prioritizes everything from the social panel. Yeah, so say we all, but I don't know, man. I'm not super hopeful on the social stuff, but maybe. Anyways, as I was saying, once we go over the Paladin, but before we do our 4.1 stuff, there's actually some flight model updates I want to go over. Yogi replied to a comment just last night. Not really saying too much, just kind of clarifying a couple things and talking about future plans. But after we go over this, then I'm going to take us on to what they said about Master Mode's changes coming up last December, just to kind of round out the entirety of how the flight model is going to change the next time they change it. And it sounds like that is... we don't have a ton of time understanding of what that time is going to be. Once that is done, if we still aren't having just like questions in chat to answer and talk about, then I'm going to actually go back to a year ago when the FPS team came on the show on Star Citizen Live to talk about their work, which I think is fun to do every once in a while. Go back a year, but besides that, we might hit the week in review for Star Citizen, and then I have to basically go find a hard drive somewhere. So it might be a shorter stream. We'll see. We'll just see where the conversation takes us. But if you guys do have questions about stuff, feel free to throw them out, and we'll kind of try and sidetrack to them. Just make sure to preface them with question in all caps in brackets. That makes it easier to see. Okay, y'all ready? That was a terrible clap. Can we try that again? Ah, that's better. You guys ready? Good luck with the hard drive search. Thank you. Appreciated. Yeah, it's just going to be a Western Digital NAS hard drive, probably. 8 terabyte. They're like these gigantic things. You put them on a little rack and then you slide them in to the server. And hopefully... oh, it works. I'm terrified. Anybody in chat have a NAS? Use Synology by any chance? Maybe you could possibly give a slight bit of advice if you're used to this sort of stuff. Oh, I can just get it from Best Buy, the hard drive. With how much they've been talking about IFCS and the new flight stuff, you have to assume we're getting close to the PTU. at least the ePTU, right? Like, give us something fun to play with in the ePTU. Even if it's not coming soon. Nah, no NAS owners. That's fair. It's not. If you don't need it, it's not entirely the most best thing to try and make use of. But we'll figure it out. Okay. Don't know what a NAS is. It's just a server rack. You had 2 Synologies in the past, had no problem whatsoever. Lucas, I'm so jealous of you. Can I ask you something? You ever get a status error? You ever had a moment where your NAS filled up so much that you couldn't access it? Yeah, I'm hoping it can just rebuild when I replace it. The thing is, the drive was fine. And so by troubleshooting the NAS, the advice I found was to try and go ahead and run the NAS without one of the drives. Because I was on RAID 5. I think it was called RAID 2, RAID 3 maybe. I had 2 redundant drives. So it told me to run without one of the drives, so I did. But then it went into error and started beeping. So I panicked and I plugged the drive back in. But then the drive went into error. So then I shut the NAS down. But now, no matter what, it always is in basically yellow status mode. And I'm like, okay, that's fine if I corrupted the drive. Sure, if I messed up the drive, I'll take that. Just let me get a new one and put it in and let it work. Because I'm fucking freaking out. This is basically everything that we run on. So I know the data is safe because we can access that. It's just a matter of needing to replace the server, which would be like $600. So I hope it's just a hard drive. And we will know hopefully today. No, it doesn't connect to the disk manager. It literally gets to the login page and then it just sits on the authentication and never goes through. It never fully completes. It just times out. You used it mainly for backups for your 2 laptops. CPUs aren't that big, but it's always performed as expected. Well, that's good. I'm glad they worked for you, Lucas. Yeah, network attached storage. Appreciate you again. Try connecting to the IP address. I've done that. Doesn't work. Time's out. Well, luckily, Monk, we didn't buy a house. Not there yet. You got a NAS from a different brand. Nice. They are a great investment if you can get it figured out. Cleared browser cache? No, actually. I used a different browser though. Yeah, LAN cable connected. Could be saved when auth creds. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. When we replace the drive, we'll see how it goes. Until I do get this figured out, we can still keep releasing videos on Space Tomato 2. I'm gonna have to. We'll have to see what's going on though, because this is where all of our files and storage are. Yeah. Stand by. Let's get to the Paladin. Let's talk about this ship. All right. So, the ship of the week this week is the Paladin. And that is because this might be the sleepy of Invictus. I just released a video about the ships that might release this year. And I realized actually there are a couple other people talking about it. I saw Astro Historian did a podcast episode on it. That was not planned at all, but go check out his podcast. So I bet it's good, more in-depth talk about what we covered in our video. But I also saw a Reddit thread pop up of people kind of speculating what might be the Invictus big ship drop this year. And I didn't see I don't think I saw anybody say the Paladin, which surprised me because I know it doesn't get talked about a bunch and it's not super big or hyped, so it might not be expected to be a headliner. But because it's actually a relatively smaller ship, it is exclusively military focused. Yeah, it's actually front line of humanity's defense. So Invictus Week, what we usually get is an actual military ship, not just a combat ship, but something that is used by the military. So while we could see the Starlancer attack, I don't think that's a military ship. I think it's just a combat ship. But this is used by the UEE. It is not that long. It's 50 meters long, which puts it bigger than the Valkyrie, as you guys were mentioning, but not necessarily the size of like a Perseus or an Ironclad, Jesus. But it is a relatively compact ship for what it does, which is gives people a lot of firepower. 4-person ship, right? I mean, 4 if you want all the gunners open. Probably 5 if you want a good engineer on board. And it's all combat. So this doesn't take new gameplay. This doesn't take some new type of functionality or new features. This is basically just another Redeemer, a small hammerhead almost. I mean, even looking at the cockpit, right? Look at this picture. What does this picture remind you of? I know somebody in chat recognizes where this picture is from. This is like basically the same picture as another ship's concept art from a different angle. It's actually really weird. Let's go on here. I don't know if this will load either. This is also... Oh no, this is not on our server. I actually kind of gave it away. What I'm thinking of. Somebody probably caught that. Yeah, I use a Synology tool to find my NAS. It'll find it. It finds it, it sees it, I can access the files, all that stuff. I just can't get on DSM to reset it, to work with it, to like get it figured out. Hammerhead. Look at this. Literally look at this picture. Toes. Yeah, that's right. Toes. Why is it coming from Facebook? Is the only copy of this picture on Facebook? Here we go. From Gavin Raw 3. Oh, Jesus. Then you have to go, wait, did he make this art too? Did he make them both? Is that what's going on here? That is. Yeah. It's both Gavin. No wonder. This dude, you can see it. So here's his Paladin release. And, oh no, these are all, hold on. Scroll to see more. Well, let me scroll then. No, is this not? He's got to have a Paladin art drop with the other pictures. Oh well, we already have the picture. Where was it? Here we go. So yeah, this picture right here. I mean, you can tell they have the same idea. they're both these sort of like assault ships on other ships that are focused on their turrets, maybe attacking fast and getting out. But clearly they're trying to say, hey, this is the same league, and the same idea. Maybe also the same concept artist. But it's the same vibe. Two different companies. This is Anvil, this is Aegis. So it's not like it's because they're coming from the same company or anything like that. But that is that's kind of what the Paladin looks like. So diving a little deeper into what it actually is, it's got itself a size 5 laser weapon on the top, tearing through shields in seconds, leaving even the most fearsome ships incapacitated. Track mounted for unmatched reach and visibility, so you can see it right here. Just like the Scorpius, it'll slide back and go down underneath, giving you a little bit more of a view to fire at other people, like if somebody's behind or below your ship. It's got VTOL engines just like on the Valkyrie, so it's going to fly a little bit better, perform a little bit better in atmosphere. This is actually, you can see the shot here where the turret is on the bottom. So whatever it is that you need to use this for, you can kind of move it around with versatility. You've also got the 2 turrets on the outsides. I believe these are size 3s. Size 4s. So you got one size 5, that's the one that swivels, and then you got 2 size 4s. Don't know how that's going to... I'm guessing with the way that they're doing the ships now, they'll slave these facing forward. Although we have a Q&A here where they might talk about that. But this could be a very, very powerful ship. Even if you can't do... Or even if you can slave all the turrets forward at the same time, though, you're still going to want somebody on this as an engineer, because this is fairly big at 53 meters. And as a combat ship, you're going to need a lot of active maintenance of this thing when you're flying and fighting. They won't be able to wear armor when flying, right? Depends, I think. Depends on the armor. So like I said, on the exterior, we got the quad size 5. We got the 2 dual size 4s on the outside. On the interior, you've got your cockpit. Upper deck has your habitation cockpit and a couple other areas down there. Maybe some like storage and just places to chill. Reminds me of the MSR almost. And on the lower deck, you've got actually a pretty decent amount of space as well, with the gunner seats down below. A pretty big stair. It's like a caterpillar style staircase here. And suit lockers in the back. So like this could also be your assault ship, your drop ship, your ship that you're using to come in and run like quick ground activities where you both need to be able to clear yourself of the air, but also maybe you're mainly focused on FPS. I don't know if this has any storage though. So you might not really have a lot of fun looting. Said it's meant to punch up. I think it's definitely meant to take the role of the Redeemer, what it was supposed to be. Because the Redeemer originally came in to be something that was maybe a little more nimble, more agile, more able to move around. But then it got slowed up a lot because it was a little OP from its weapons. It's a weird ship. It went through a whole weird cycle because it wasn't made by the devs. It was made just for fun, and then it was approved because it was cool. And the Astropub loves it. He can't get over it. Like, go talk to him about it whenever you get the chance. But in general, it is a weird ship and it's been in a weird place. And I think this one is really going to help to alleviate it of that weirdness and let it go and be more of what it's supposed to be, while this is kind of more of a heavy gunship. But we'll see what the performance of this is. Oops. Where is the spec sheet? Let's see. Guess I already downloaded it. So it's got a size 3 shield generator, 2 size 2 coolers, 1 size 2 battery, 1 size 2 life support. Basically everything else is size 2. 2 size 2 power plants, some redundancy there. 1 quantum drive size 2, jump drive size 2, 8 main thrusters, 12 MAV thrusters, and then it's got turrets we know of and 6 size 4 missiles. Can't tell you really what it's going to be performance-wise and movement-wise, but it's going to be heavy. This thing's going to move heavy, and it's going to be a chunky boy. Let's check out the Q&A. No grid. Okay. What is the loner? The Redeemer, of course. Regarding VTOL, the Paladin seems to have rotating thrusters at the back. How does it handle atmosphere? Paladin has enough VTOL power to handle adequately in atmosphere and maintain its position above targets, though compared to ships such as the Valkyrie, it will be less agile. Okay. So that's likely because it has less VTOL. No, it's probably just because the Valkyrie's smaller. I think what this question is getting at is it looks like the VTOL is unbalanced because you got these thrusters here, but you don't have anything up front. This is something that people mentioned with the Cutlass. It was mentioned with the Freelancer when we first had that. There are a couple ships that look unbalanced when it comes to VTOL. Sorry guys, I think we're just gonna have to use some disbelief with those. They go with the design, rule of cool. I'm not the biggest fan of that. Like, I like the functional look, like it's working, like it has to put out the power that it's putting out. If you're gonna have a heavy ship, you should have to have them bulky thrusters to keep that ship afloat. So I'm not super pleased with it, and I can kind of get away with like, oh, they've got some larger MAV thrusters on the front that act as VTOL thrusters, but nothing's gonna work quite like these. So it's a little bit annoying, but I think it's just what they're gonna end up going forward with. On the top front, you can see the thrusters pointing down. It might be these two up front, and they might call those VTOLs. Yeah, these right here. No. Is this the top? No, this is the bottom. So can't tell if these are vents or thrusters. Right there. Yeah, actually, these might be thrusters right here. Because these are the MAV thrusters. These look pretty similar. So these might actually be VTOL thrusters here. And maybe they're not as chunky as the ones in the back, but they still might be able to handle the power. Oh my god, imagine surrendering to a size 5 cannon. I would, like, could you, isn't there a better way for you guys to make me feel scared? This is just terrifying. You're not going to regenerate if you, like, even if regeneration was working and you got hit by this cannon, you're done. That's it. That's game over. You'll regenerate, but you'll just full on die. You won't go down. It's over. Back to the Q&A though. Is there an engineering room? Answer: the room at the rear of the upper deck is the engineering room, where the main engineering screen and majority of components are located. However, some components, such as radar, life support, and gravity generator, are located in other access areas of the ship. So, engineering will be in here, in the back of the ship. In the top deck, they said. So, right here. Okay. Oh yeah, you can see the terminal right there. What's up, Brian? Long-time listener, first-time caller. Sorry if you've answered. When do you think the Ironclad will come out? And do you think the ship you're talking about will be good? I think the Ironclad, the best bet we have is end of year. I'm thinking CitizenCon or Invictus, or IAE. Probably. Well, if it happens this year, that's my thoughts. Is this ship going to be good? Yeah, the ship's going to be good. This ship's going to be good. I mean, I'm not a combat person. You guys know this, but a lot of the most fun situations I've had in Star Citizen have just been being a turret gunner with a well-piloted ship. And this looks like it's going to be a fun ship to be a turret gunner on. Just recoil needed to stay afloat. Just keep that. The ship's just bouncing. Or it's more of a Bert sound, huh? Is this a Bert or a badump kind of ship? Badump. What's the next question? Does the Paladin offer escape pods for its crew? Yes, the beds double as ejection pods. That's a common one. How does the Paladin compare to the Redeemer? While both are gunships, they have different takes on that role and playstyle. The recent changes to the Redeemer's turret, weapon, and shield sizes are offset by a significant boost to maneuverability. This allows the Paladin to occupy the tankier gunship role. Okay, that's what we were saying. Basically, this is letting the Redeemer just basically take on more of like that fast attack ship kind of role. This thing has a nice heavy look to it. Both ships have strengths and weaknesses, the Paladin trading agility for raw firepower and speed for armor. Something we don't have in game yet. And one of those things where, like, if you're looking at a ship to buy or even borrow from a friend or something, if you're looking to get a new ship and it's a long-term thing, don't pick it long-term based on how it plays now. Just like it, looking at Star Citizen's problems and making changes based on those problems isn't necessarily the best idea for CIG to do because the game is going to play a different way in the future. Getting a ship for how it performs now is going to lead you to just being a little confused in the future. Like, I always say, get a ship for the idea it's supposed to have, because whatever it is right now, it's going to change. Armor's going to come in and make a lot of ships perform differently because of both the mass they get from it and also the additional protection. Just food for thought. The handling of the Paladin will be like the Redeemer was before the recent changes, which is more befitting a ship of its size and shape versus the much more compact Redeemer. And unlike the Redeemer, the Paladin has no modular room, which is still planned for the Redeemer's lower floor. Oh! I did not catch that before. I didn't know the Redeemer's getting a modular room. Let's just look up the Redeemer real quick so you get an idea of what they mean. The Redeemer is 51 meters long, so I think that's what, 20 meters shorter than this? Oh no, it's only 2 meters shorter. That's not that much smaller. 14 in height and 25 in width compared to 14 in height and 38 in width. So it's definitely thicker. It's a bigger ship for sure. Not a ton bigger though. You think manned turrets gameplay right now sucks and needs to improve? Definitely there's need for improvement there. You don't think they could push it out for Drake Defense Con? They could. They could put the Ironclad out for Defense Con, but I don't know. When will the Paladin start production? They said the Paladin is currently in its white box production phase. This is why I think it could release. This ship is at about the same stage as the Perseus, the Ironclad, and several other ships. At least it was back in November. Let's go to the Star Citizen November monthly report. You go to the ship art section, and they say, alongside unannounced vehicles, which we have now seen, probably some of them were the Atlas and the Golem, several upcoming vehicles progress through the white box and gray box stages, including the consolidated Outland Pioneer. I don't think that's coming soon. The Drake Ironclad, I do think that could be coming this year. The Anvil Paladin, ding 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 ding, that's us. The Misk Starlancer TAC, the Argo CSVM, the RSI Apollo, and the Perseus. For those who are keen on the eyes, that means you're hot. No, you guys are all keen on the eyes. No, for those who are keen with the eyes, you might notice that basically this whole list is almost all of the list I used for my video of what ships are coming out this year, or might be coming out this year. I still am not convinced at all that the Pioneer is going to make it, but I think there's a good chance we could see every single one of these. The only two I'm nervous about are the Argo CSVM and the RSI Apollo, because those actually require features in gameplay. People convince themselves either the Perseus or Ironclad's definitely coming out at Invictus when there is no guarantee of either. Yeah, there's definitely no guarantee of either, but you got to admit, this is pretty normal Star Citizen fan behavior. You just go back to Star Citizen Invictus 2024 ship. And let's see if there's any threads. Where you can go back and look at, like, did they do any, were there any? Yep, here we go. So you can just click through these threads and you'll get people kind of guessing at what's going to be released. And a lot of times you'll find all kinds of interesting speculation, sometimes right, sometimes not right. Military adjacent ships. And then this is the thread from 2 years ago doing kind of a similar thing. I don't know what ship actually released at Invictus Week last year. Don't think they're going to release the Apollo without the drone support. Neither do I. Surprise dropping the Kraken. Yeah, that seems likely, sure. Yeah, Invictus Week is an interesting one. It certainly it's a big sale. It's one of the biggest. You can actually look at the CCU game. And this will show you kind of the funding path for the game overall. And if you look at the graph, you'll see like generally it goes, and then there's a huge spike. And this huge spike's in November. And then it goes, another huge spike. This spike is in May. Then it goes, huge spike. November. Goes, huge spike. May. Every single year, November and December. It's like last week of November. May, December, May, December, November, May. Every single year. And that's because they have IAE in November. And then they have Invictus Week, which is in May. And generally during those times, you'll get the chance to go in and pledge for a ship if you like it. But it's also just like they put a lot of ships available to fly for free, so people will try them, and they will buy a lot more because of that. But I do think that like people are very excited for the big flashy ship for Invictus Week. But because CIG seems to be doing a new ship release every month, I could see them also spreading them out a little bit more. I think the Paladin is the easy win at Invictus Week. It might not be the most money to create, but they could also show off either the Perseus or Ironclad at Invictus Week. Like, hear me out. What if they bring in an Invictus Week parade that has the Polaris, the Idris, the Javelin, and then some supporting Perseus? Just a whole battle group fleet. Maybe a couple Hammerheads in there too. Starfarer or two, just for the lore. Nobody uses Starfarer, but we'll give it to them. They put that in there, and then they sell the Paladin, and then they say, yeah, you can go and tour the Perseus, and it'll come out later this year. Then you'd get to double dip, because then you could make money from the concept sale, and then you could also sell the Paladin and make money from the Perseus again later in the year. Starfarers. You tired, Black Sun? Go to sleep, my dude. As we're already seeing, smaller ships and vehicles are coming out in smaller patches. Yeah, it seems it seems like it's a new one every patch, I think. You can look at last year's and predict the new ship fairly accurately. What was last year's ship at Invictus Week? I actually don't remember that. Oh, I yawned? I missed that. Maybe I should go to sleep. Since they doubled the ship team last year from 26 to 54, it seems likely they plan to do a ton of ships this year. They did have to get back up to size, because they used to be big, and then they lost a bunch of people. And then they boosted the size, yeah. But I don't think they're rushing the ships necessarily. From what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing rather, Execute talked to a couple of the folks at CitizenCon this last year, and he was saying that they still have the same timeline for ships. They just changed the amount of people on the ship's development team, depending on if they want that, if it's bigger or smaller. So like they target 18 months, and then they say, this is a small ship, one person can do it 18 months. Oh, this is a bigger ship. Okay, let's put 3 people on this one for 18 months. This is a medium ship. We'll do 2 people for the first 6 months, and then for the last 12, we'll do 4. Like, that's supposedly, according to what Execute heard, that's the way that they do it right now. Going back, though, we can find their little ship team thing here. Yeah, so it dropped. It used to be decent, and then, or not decent, but like it used to be a certain size, and they dropped a bunch of people for a little while. But then, yeah, last year, they got back up. And supposedly, yeah, now it's like at 50 something. That's pretty crazy. Wouldn't that mean they're planning for more big ship releases? Not necessarily. The ship team is also doing feature development. So these people are working on engineering. They assist in the shield and power systems. They assist with control surfaces and the flight model. They work on thrusters. They work on like docking, the gold standard updates, getting everything up to standard with like the engineering systems that are getting added to old ships and components. That's all ship team stuff as well. So by building out the team, they're not just going to deliver us new ships faster. This is probably going to mean that old ships are going to be getting updates faster, and we'll see new things being added. I'm not super locked to that though, because I'm very disappointed that the Prospector didn't get an update when the Fortune came out. I'm glad that the Argo Atlas is getting an update when the Geo comes out, but the Prospector was a weird omission because of the Raven before it. And I don't think the Terrapin got an update when the Terrapin Medical came out either, so they're kind of dropping the ball a little bit there, and I would expect them to be updating ships better, but we are still seeing some more ship work, and I imagine they're doing a lot of engineering stuff in the background too. Back to the QA though. The Redeemer is supposed to have sophisticated shields, but they are size 2. Why does the Paladin have size 3 when it's focused on armor? A ship's shield size does not confer any sophistication. It's not about the size, folks. Bonus, but instead... Sorry, I've got to... Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's taking too long. Forget it. Where even was I? Oh, bonus, but instead... no sophistication bonus, but instead alters factors such as shield health, capacity, and resistance to damage types. Generally, the larger the size, the larger the pool. However, having multiple smaller shields can be a bonus in terms of redundancy and regeneration rates over fewer large items. In this case, 6 size 2 shields versus a single size 3. Wait, what? The Redeemer has 6 size 2 shields? Yeah, I think I would prefer having 6 size 2 shields to 1 size 3. Wow. Though I don't know what the power drop-off is, but yeah, redundancy-wise, that sounds much better. Is there storage in the Paladin, such as gun racks, lockers, or a cargo grid? There are gun racks and personal storage for the crew, but there is not a dedicated cargo area. So you'll be able to loot and take stuff with you, but like you're gonna run... This is mainly a ship combat ship. This isn't like taken out, I think even the Redeemer has a little bit of storage in it. And I'm not saying storage for the sense of cargo hauling. I'm saying like if you're running a distribution center or a contested zone or something like that, you're going to be coming across rare items and you might not want the guns, but being able to sell those, or maybe you come across some nice artifacts or some like commodities, you want to be able to carry at least an eighth of an SCU or half an SCU of stuff back with you, offload it to your ship, and then go get some more. And not having any cargo grid is actually a pretty big deal. Because you can be doing... I mean, you could do a cargo grid on a freaking Pisces, right? Like there's so many small ships that you could get a cargo grid on, and that will be valuable with physicalized cargo. That is the entire point, by the way. For all the people who are like, why are they forcing us to physically move cargo and have cargo be physicalized and all this stuff? Because it's going to make you decide differently on a ship like the Paladin. And that's the whole point, setting this apart from the Redeemer. I have no idea how long the treasure room in Ruin Station takes to open. I think it was like 15 minutes. Think that mystery CNOU ship is Pisces size? Seem bigger to you, more likely freelancer sized with low landing gear. You might be right. I've never been one for perspective. Was it 20 minutes? Approximately every 21 minutes. Okay. There you go, Bilko. Compared to similar ships such as the Valkyrie and Legionnaire, how well armored is the Paladin? The Valkyrie is the better comparison size-wise. Regardless, the Paladin is well armored and able to take a significant amount of incoming fire. The Valkyrie's bigger. I mean, we're talking about cargo space. If you're going to take something like the Anvil Valkyrie, you can take vehicles with you. Like, this is a different category altogether. 48 meters long, so it's still about the same size. 12 meters tall, 38 meters wide. So you've got quite the competition. I think this is actually a really interesting trifecta of ships, I guess. The Valkyrie, the Redeemer, and the Paladin are all ships you could put in front of a player who's like, I want a mid-sized combat ship. You put all three of these ships down and you tell them all of the specs, and this feels like one of the best ways to highlight the amount of variability that Star Citizen ships have. Because your combat ship might have a cargo hold for vehicles, or it might have extra space for guns. It could have storage lockers for FPS weapons, or it could have suit lockers for exploration. It could have an engineering console in the back that lets you do more work on your components, or it could have, hell if I know, a little bit extra storage. The shields, the armor, the weapon sizes, whether the ship can do VTOL or not, the views from the cockpit, can the pilot see the ground? If you're in a dropship and you're covering players on the ground, can you actually see the ground that you're looking at? Or are you blocked off and you have to kind of fly around and bank to see out the side? Because the Paladin can see the ground. So does that make it the better ground cover? But the Valkyrie can land and put down a vehicle to help out. So does that make it better? But then the Paladin can put its turret on the bottom and the Valkyrie's is on the top. The Valkyrie can carry more people, but the Paladin, like, I really love this. This is my favorite part of the game, seeing how much different they can make these things, even though they're pretty similar. Going forward, how fast does the S5 quad turret slide between the top and bottom positions? What? Why are you asking them this question during the concept phase? They're going to be like, yes. We'll be evaluating this during production, but it won't move quicker than the Scorpius rail turret. You can expect it to take longer than that due to the distance it's required to travel. Makes sense. Hey, Victoria, good to see you in chat. Thanks for that shout out over there, Mrs. Tomato. Want your dropships to leave and wait for the pickup? The PAL will be the one staying on site to help the ground folks. But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you want a ship if you want to be able to drop people off and you want to be able to cover them from the sky, and you only have one pilot, what do you do? Because there might be better ships to take. There are other ships with turrets on the bottom, no? No, the Paladin is going to make for really good ground support. Redeemer? How many jump seats are in the Redeemer, though? If they do it good, they make a rock, paper, scissors with different rocks and papers and scissors. I want the squiggly scissors. Those are fun. Need some SCU storage. Vastin looking out for the ground troops. Yeah, but no, he has a point. Like, there's also the reason that they're doing this with these ships is so that you do need to take multiple ships. As much as people want this to be a solo game, and as much as it is going to support solo gameplay, you gotta look at almost every ship in this game as a part of a puzzle. And you can do things with puzzle pieces on their own. They look beautiful, they look pretty. If you gave me a puzzle piece of the sky, or like this is beautiful freaking field right outside of our, can you guys see this? See that? That's the outside of our house. So it's like this really nice field right outside. It looks beautiful. And if you showed me just a single puzzle piece of that field, I'd be like, wow, that's really pretty. I'd look at that. It brings bliss to my eyes. I'm crying right now. I'm not actually, it's not that deep, but you get what I mean. A puzzle piece on its own can look and feel good and do good and all those things. But in the end of the day, or the end of the day, I don't know, we can go with it. It's still supposed to be used for a multi-ship kind of thing. And they all have weaknesses that you're supposed to fill in with other ships. And that's like the whole point. Yeah. So Vastin has a point. You might want another ship. So, whoa! This ship might be solely for that ground support, while another ship might be the one that's actually picking the people up. Just off camera, a McDonald's. Dude, I wish. I'd love to have French fries that close. I mean, Mrs. Tomato makes great homemade French fries, but, you know, sometimes it's 2 a.m. in the morning. You just want to walk out real quick and grab a quick fry. We're actually really excited to have our own kitchen now because there's a bunch of things that I love to eat from these places that are not healthy. And there is an amazing chef in this house who now has full-on access to all the cookie bits that we need, which is great. Not cookie bits, cooking. Just called it cookie. Ironclad Assault will be mean as a ground covering dropship with vehicle support. Dude, imagine imagine you're like holding down Ghost Hollow or something. Just, you know, not that big a deal. And then somebody rolls in with a freaking Ironclad Assault. And they're like, surrender now. You're like, okay. It's just a console. It's just one console with the freaking money. Really trying to make this an ASMR stream. Look at my flowers. It'll create opportunities where players more often help each other out because there is benefit in doing so. And that's why they're working on stuff like that, looking for group thing. That's why we're going to get better org tools. We're getting there. All right. Is the Paladin still efficient if I play with just one friend as a duo with them using the remote quad turret? While all weapon stations are usable with only 2 total crew, it is not the optimal loadout due to restrictions on the pilot-controlled wing weapons. See more details below. Okay. Do the pilot's wing weapons play as gimbaled when not remotely manned by dedicated gunners? Yes. If there is nobody in the seats that control the wing weapons, then the pilot has control of them, albeit locked in the forward arc. Due to their location, their convergence is limited frontally, so they're only suitable for targets in mid to long distance. However, when independently controlled, they have full freedom of motion and can look pretty much in full 180-degree arcs in all directions, allowing players to engage targets below, above, and behind. You know, I think this is a solid middle ground for allowing solo players to get some benefit from these larger ships, but also saying, hey, these aren't going to work for you the best if you're solo. Limiting the firing arcs, but giving them control of the guns seems like the best way to do it. And I know they updated the... what's it called? Corsair, to kind of have that same functionality, but it still sounds like it's a little bit limited in terms of seats. I'm as long as there is a clear discrepancy between the way that these ships are moved in groups or solo, I think they can continue to balance to figure out how to make it best work. But I remember, I think when they first released this was not the case, and then they quickly changed it, and maybe they had made a decision at that point that they needed to be more lenient. And that's why they updated all these other ships recently too. I think the Valkyrie got an update and a couple others. But at the same time, they do need to be careful. They can't keep on giving ground every single time it feels like solo players are getting locked out of things. Solo players will get locked out of things. Group players will also get locked out of things. There are going to be missions and contracts that are better to run as a single player. And like, that's okay. It's okay. It's all right as long as they make enough gameplay for everybody. We don't all have to play everything. How is the visibility with the blast shields activated, and why should we activate the blast shields in the cockpit? Visibility is significantly reduced for all seats. However, the pilot is the only one impacted, as all other stations use remote weapon views. The upper and lower blast shields are independently controlled, allowing the crew to decide whether to fully or partially lock down. In the short term, these parts provide a small HP boost when deployed, but as physical damage comes online, they will provide additional damage resistance. Interesting, so this is probably true for the Carrack and the Terrapin too, and the Cutter. Yes, you can replace the weapons and the missiles. Internal decks show rooms that look rather empty regarding the internal floor plan. Central traversable areas. Number 5 is the crew quarters. Number 8 is the main entrance room with 4 suit lockers and a set of weapon racks. So they do have suit lockers and weapon racks here, so you are prepared to go on ground missions, even from within this ship. You just don't have storage. With the ammo system in the future, players are wondering about ballistic reloading. We still do plan for ships to be able to rearm ballistic weapons, either directly on the gun in question or from the ship's internal stores fed by players. We've seen, I think, a teaser that's coming along. I believe the Perseus has loading stations inside of it, so that's probably the first place we'll see it. Can it fly long distance across system? Its quantum fuel tank will have similar capacity to the Valkyrie's. However, given the equipped quantum drive, there isn't a simple yes-no answer to this. And how many exits does it have? Just a single one. So that's about it. It does look like there is... oh yeah, so just this single side entrance is the only way to get on and off this ship. That is actually terrifying. Why is it like that? That's so limited, especially for a combat ship. I mean, it makes it easy if people are trying to board your ship, which this is a ship that's going to get boarded. This ship, oh my gosh, this is going to get boarded, no doubt. But man, also difficult to escape. Why is the E1, A1, and C1 like that? I mean, at least they have a ramp. It's not just a little staircase. Just this little staircase is actually pretty wild. What components? I guess they almost fit through the doorway. Interesting. Well, that's the Paladin, folks. Hope you learned something on this one. Hopefully we see it in Invictus. I'll have more updates for you as we go. Who needs escape? Yeah. Yeah, it is a bit of a conundrum. I mean, at least if you have multiple entrances, you can still have covering fire on one entrance. It's still just a complication for your defenders, though. But if you have one entrance, you don't really have the choice. I don't know. People might be blowing holes through this ship's armor to get out. Yeah, it's the beds. The escape pods are the beds on this ship, as they do. As they do. Abs, thank you for the sub over on Twitch. Really appreciate it. All support is probably gonna just go towards new hard drives. So thank you for helping us. Well, actually, unfortunately, Twitch. Whenever Twitch does it, we won't actually see that for another month. But if there is, if you do want to help with the hard drives, and I'm not asking, just saying, if you are looking to sub or anything for that reason, it's better to use the Twitch tip function. Not only does Twitch take less of that, but also that doesn't take a whole month to reach us. And I appreciate it if you do. Again, that is not a request or telling you to do so, just saying if that is why you are supporting today, that's the best way to do it. You can only ever imagine the scene in Fifth Element where the priest gets sucked into the wall in the bed and wrapped in plastic. What was the last update we had on how escape pods will function when they are inside the ship? Well, dude, it's been a long time since they've talked about escape pods. Realistically, I don't know. That's something they don't talk about very much. Feels like that's a topic to bring up once the Ironclad starts coming back into conversation, because it has the whole command module thing, and that's a new feature, and that should be working by the time the Ironclad comes in. At least I would want it to be working. Somebody asked a question earlier about I can't even remember what it was now. There was a question I saw in chat. If you do have questions, though, we're in between topics right now, so feel free to ask them, and we could just kind of kick it for a bit. Maverick, thank you for the bits, dude. Kick it for a bits. Maverick and Terran, man. Just like the most consistent. Around 4 years, it was the CitizenCon during your initial pledge in 2021 for Drop Pod Talk. Huh. Yeah, the ones that are in walls are basically just come retrieve me kind of escape pods, but that's really all it is. I mean, at that point, you're just trying to get off the ship before it explodes. And we're still living in this time period where everybody thinks their ship is always going to explode. That's going to throw people for a loop. If they just keep you alive but not entertained, I'm guessing you'll still be able to access your Mobi-Glass. That's something. Calling for help, but you better hope there's a friend nearby. I don't know, maybe they'll let you use that as a respawn. Like, you can basically respawn from the escape pod, but it like takes more money because it simulates that an NPC came out and flew you back or something. FPS scanning this year? I would hope so, but I'm not sure. They're still working on it. It's still getting development. Just a matter of if it hits the EPTU or not. Do you think it's weird that they keep making small ships for the industrial things and not medium-sized ones? Like the Vulture and Fortune are small. Then we now have the starter salvage ship, but nothing between Reclaimer and Vulture right now. Reclaimer and Vulture. I mean, I think we should get one of those ships for sure. It'll be weird in about a year. For now, I think they're just really trying to make sure that the new player experience is fully featured and supported and all of that. It's easy, and you can still technically do group play with multiple ships, but it's hard to do small single player play with larger ships. So I think they're just playing it safe. About crafting, didn't CIG during a Q&A say that if you lose or get looted for an item, you can craft it again, but it will be back at a lower tier? Not just you get the same weapon back for tier 2? I think that's how it's going to be. I don't know if they said that during a Q&A or not, but I think that's how it is going to be, and I would expect that to be how they develop it going forward. Hyper Vanguard was a cool game. Think they want to clear some of the big ship backlog before they commit to new ones. Agreed, but didn't they just introduce a big ship? Mining has a full progression curve. Starter miner, prospector. Mining, with 4.1, mining is actually becoming a full-on gameplay on its own. I think the only thing that's missing now, besides large-scale mining, is refining. Player-run refining, which leads us into crafting. As soon as crafting comes in, and if they can link mining into crafting, oh my sweet guys. It's going to be so good. I'm trying to get a chance to go with Red Monster in the next couple of weeks. He's feeling a little under the weather, so I'm going to give him a moment. I'm trying to get Red Monster in so that we can go play a little bit on one of these Wednesdays. We can jump in and try out mining together, and I can get like his full take on how it's going. Then I want to have a podcast episode to talk with him about it. Then I want to do a video on mining, because I'm so excited for what's going on there. They are now making it so that you don't need a ship to do good mining, but you also can't do that good mining with a ship. Making minerals that are specific to a certain size is not my favorite, and I'm not a huge fan of it on principle. But the way that it is changing the game is really, really nice, in my opinion. It's basically now saying, when we have crafting and you want to make that Volt Parallax rifle, sure, you need this amount of titanium, you need that amount of carbon, maybe you need a little copper. But the one little secret ingredient, the one little thing you need that, or I guess that secondary ingredient that you need to craft it, is actually like 5 grams or 0.00005 SCU of unobtainium or something, right? And unobtainium can only be gotten from the caves on Monox by FPS mining. So then it's like, okay, well, I have to find somebody who is willing to go into Pyro and also likes FPS mining or does FPS mining and specializes in getting this specific material so that I can make this stuff. And then you make that relationship with that person, or you become that person, or you pay somebody else to be that person. Like, it makes it so that your role is more specialized and the materials you're using is more specialized. And that factors in with also the resource quality that they're bringing in with crafting. And then you have that for FPS mining, you have that for vehicle mining, and you have that for ship mining. So now you have FPS that can also use the geo. You have vehicle mining that can use the rock or maybe the geo or something else that comes along later. You have ship mining that can use 3 lasers with the mole, 1 laser with the prospector, or maybe a new mining ship like the Arastra, which can do weird lasers in different scenarios and has a refinery on board. Like, I'm spiraling, but I'm very interested in how much they're expanding that out. Hey, Anonymous, how's it going? Just losing it a little bit, talking about mining. You think it's the only way to make a market that actually might work? Making these sort of specializations? Well, yeah. Hell, I mean, I didn't even realize it, but with the way that they were doing their stuff before, the economy, I mean, there would have been no point in doing FPS minables if FPS minables could also be rock minables. And that's what I wanted. I wanted all materials to be mineable by all things as a sim would allow. But then you have to factor in a lot more of the economics of how to get that stuff to limit people in the way they play. This is a more artificial way, but it's more effective. For any racer out there, is it worth getting a 350R or just using something like a Razor or Fury? Well, your Fury is not going to have a quantum drive, so it's going to be harder to get places with that. So I'd go with a Razor or a 350, and the Razor is definitely more racing focused, but the 350 is going to help you in places outside of racing if you'd like that. Okay, I need to turn my fan on real quick. It's hot. What's up, Ran you over? You'd like all rocks to be breakable by a mining ship. It's just a matter of time. More lasers, the faster you crack. Just hate rolling up on rocks solo or group that you can't crack. All rocks to be breakable by a mining ship. See, that's what I was thinking before. I would like it if you could like depower a mining ship's laser to mine FPS and rock and vehicle minables, but I don't think it actually makes that big a difference. As long as all ship minables can be interacted with all ships, then I'm good. Verse Vagabond, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. You're thinking more along the lines of large rocks? I disagree with that. I think there should be rocks you can't break with a solo with one player. I mean, there are ships you can't beat with one player. They're all going to have different quality. Well, maybe not one player. One small tool. You can always get a player and a large laser. They're all going to have different quality lasers anyways, so you won't want to mine everything. Finding the right rock is core to the future. You'd like some slight overlap between categories. Prospectors should be able to break rocks with difficulty. I had wanted that. I did. If a fortune finds a hammerhead, it can salvage it, just not ideal, but a prospector rolls up on a large rock, you can't crack it. Yeah, I think I think it makes sense because it's more of an energy thing. You're talking about the actual ability for your laser to put energy into that rock. If you went and got a larger ship, you could still use the larger rock with it. Honestly, I think the salvage is broken a bit in the sense that you can just salvage a hammerhead. And I think that is where they're going to change salvage. I think they're going to make it so that when you're salvaging with the ship, you actually have to fracture the ship with Maelstrom implementation rather than just pressing a button to fracture it. And that's how they're going to limit the smaller ships from salvaging bigger ships easily. Oh, it already can't crack large ships, I see. They need to improve mining by adding more minables. Feel like you're flying around an asteroid field. You spend so much time moving around looking for asteroids to mine rather than just playing the mining minigame. Well, you also just don't have reason to get different minables. There's like 20-something minables in the game now for ships, but you don't care about most of them. So even if you do find a rock, you're like, I don't need this. There is a problem with larger ship lasers. The size 2 Helix already has real problems with secondary brakes. So you might want to get a different component maybe on the light laser or use some gadgets to help with power reduction on the Helix. Hate finding 80% of rocks you can't crack. No, I get that. And You know, maybe that's something that they need to fix when it comes to resource scattering. Maybe if you could lower the scan so you only pick up certain signatures, that would be good. Like that might be a scanning functionality thing they could fix. Yeah, there you go. Like scanning could be better so you can determine what signals you should go to and which to ignore. Yeah. Being able to filter scans would probably be a huge part of making that better. Use distance on the helix to adjust power. Okay. That would help. Eventual implementation of Maelstrom and Armored makes me hopeful salvaging ships have to work with certain loadouts to salvage armor ships. Same, I'm also hoping they give us salvaging charges so that you can get a little bit FPS related and focused. Something similar to the mining gadgets we have. All right, our next segment today, folks, on lovely Monday the 24th, we're talking about the flight model. Yogi Klatt has responded to a comment about some of the flight stuff going on in Spectrum. I thought this was a good time for us to do a little update. For the people who maybe have missed recent news, we're going to talk about what he has to say here about current goings on and the future of the flight model. And then we're going to look back at the ISC episode from, I think this was December or late November, to listen in on how master modes is changing. Because if anybody forgot, they're basically shuttering master modes and moving the functionality into operator modes. And with the recent monthly report, we've also confirmed they are allowing the actual engineering and component sort of format of the ship to help dictate your maximum speed and acceleration. So there's some interesting things coming to the flight model. They're not coming soon, but we get a couple of little tips here. I know, flight model stuff. It's gonna... Comments are gonna be fun. All right, let's get into it. The post is asking, I went through the settings again and discovered some new ones and some bad or good interactions. When I flew into a hangar and extended landing gear, I was still afraid of ramming into a wall due to the remaining momentum. Now I understand how it works, but the problem with this is that it reduces thrust force generally. But if you turn that nasty proximity assist off, then reverse thrust is no longer gimped, but at full force. If you have both settings enabled, then you can hardly brake properly, not even with boost. On my 300i, for example, it reduces 3.5 Gs of reduced thrust to 1 G in proximity, and even just 0.6 Gs in landing mode. I get what they're saying with the problem, but in general, I think this is just like a unpolished flight model kind of problem. It's like it's still not, we still don't have a great way to move around in close areas, and we don't have a radar that shows us our whole area. Oh my god. I don't want landing cameras. I need a whole 3D overlay of the surrounding areas so that when I'm flying in a hangar, when I'm landing on a planet, when I'm flying in a cave, when I'm flying around other ships, I can see the things around me in some kind of wire grid format, like in Elite Dangerous, or like in what we used to have in Star Citizen. And I know the UI folks are working on that. I just wish. And yeah, there's also the acceleration limiter, right alt plus the mouse wheel, but it's a little cumbersome. I think it's better if you have a set of sticks. But it's certainly, it's a bit rough to try and use in a quick succession. All right, so Yogi responded directly to this. Yeah, the acceleration limiter, I know. Yogi responded directly to this by saying, automatic slowdown does not reduce the thrust force, which is actually, I think, the acceleration limiter that does. It is simply an enforced speed limiter that reduces your thrust between 20 to 30, or reduces your speed between 20 to 30 meters based on the proximity assist results. Proximity assist itself does cut down the available thrust, which from our perspective is not wanted at this time anymore. Okay. I see. So automatic slowdown is different from proximity assist then? Automatic slowdown is like when you put on your landing gear. stuff like that. The updated flight model, which is the post Master Modes iteration that is currently in the works and which will be shipped along with the new quantum travel experience and control surfaces, has a few changes in that regard. This is a really important sentence. Okay, so people really didn't like my clickbait thumbnail last time when I was like, Master Modes are dead, kind of. But this, like, they're moving on from it. Not in the sense that they're, oh, the functionality of it is not what we wanted. But they're getting rid of Master Modes because what Master Modes does is it separates flight models. That's it. That's what Master Modes is. Master Modes is not slowed down speed. It is not weapons working a different way. It is not your ship flies different in atmosphere. All of those are different parts of the flight model that they are still working on separately. Master Modes is literally just the ability to change between two modes. So in that sense, they're getting rid of it because they don't need it, because they have operator modes. They had two different ways of switching modes, operator modes and master modes. So now they are eliminating master modes and just having operator modes, okay? So it's okay to say that master modes is going away because it's the same thing as saying, I don't know, that the space travel program was going away when they were shuttering the space shuttle. It wasn't actually leaving, they were just moving on to other projects that did the same thing. And you don't have to be mad about it. It's okay. It doesn't mean that we were all terrible for being okay with it. It just means that, like, they have worked their system and figured out a better way to do what they're trying to do that hopefully runs better with the game. Have to admit, much has changed and you've been slowly getting back into all the control changes. Hope you've been having a good time. Yeah, exactly. You still have different modes. But this is also an important sentence because he says the new mode that they're talking about, which is what we're going to hear about right here, is shipping with the new quantum travel experience and control surfaces. That's a really big deal. This is the first time they've really given us any idea of what's going on with control surfaces as far as the release goes. So for control surfaces, just to quickly put this into context and perspective, basically, control surfaces are going to make all ships fly based on their aerodynamics. A lot of you might remember they introduced lift and thrust before, but it was a generalized model. They are now transitioning to the point where every flap and physical feature on your ship will affect how it flies in atmosphere. So if you're flying a Caterpillar, tough luck. If you're flying a Gladius, you got a bit of an airplane underneath you. And the Gladius is actually already seeing some of this functionality in 4.1. Not sure if it has an actual effect on your flight, but they are starting to put in the functional flaps and the moving around wings and all that kind of stuff. And this is going to be important because the way that flight works right now is your thrusters are always firing. And you'll see this when you're flying around in atmosphere, you see your maneuvering thrusters fire. This is not a good thing. You don't want your thrusters to be firing all the time. Maneuvering thrusters are meant to fire occasionally when you need to make big changes, especially in space. You're supposed to be mainly relying on your main driving thrusters or your VTOLs. So those are always firing and you can rely on those. But with this updated change, they're going to make it so that lift is driving your ship forward and your thrusters can turn off while you're in atmosphere. If you go too slow, your ship can stall. And if your ship stalls, your thrusters kick in. Those thrusters will produce heat, which makes them take damage over time, adding to wear and tear and maintenance costs. So this encourages people to fly their ship like an actual ship. It means people will do less of their floating over an outpost pointed straight down, shooting at random people flying around, because they'll actually need to keep moving to keep the aerodynamics lifting them. This means that if your ship has VTOL thrusters, you'll take less wear and tear while you're hovering, so you'll be able to outlast other people. Good when you're doing things like mining and salvage. And in general, it will make the flight model a little bit more intuitive, a little bit more realistic, and for a lot of people, more tuned in and physicalized. Here is an example of this, a very brief example of how this works from CitizenCon last year.
Well, he gets authority back over this control. Brent, button. The button is called thruster disconnect because at the moment in the PU, when you go through a planet, you're using the thrusters to rotate. We're not doing that anymore. So Brent, disconnect the thrusters, please, and put the ship into a purposeful stall. A stall happens when the airflow over a wing ceases, or over a lift surface ceases. And then at some point, you will not have any authority anymore, and your ship will not turn and so on, and you will basically fall out of the sky. That is naturally a state that every plane wants to avoid naturally, right? And this is happening right here. Brent is not able to use the control surfaces right now because the ship is in a process of stalling. However, the airflow will pull the nose back into the wind, and once you have enough speed, he can actually, well, he gets authority back over these control surfaces. That means for US players, what you can actually do, you can do aerobraking, you can do pure gliding if you want to. You can even do like competitions like, I don't know, like drop ships out of orbit and then see how far they glide. This is all possible with a new system. So let's talk about the problem, how do you come to a stop now? To come to a stop with the new system, you need to purposefully put the ship into a stall. But don't worry, when we don't have the thrusters disconnected, IFCS will help you. So you're gonna bring down the speed more and more until you're reaching stall speed, which is about now. And then the thrusters will kick in and catch you. That means, however, you are now in a state that the thrusters don't like, right? So at the moment we have turned this up, but in the future you will not be able to hold this for long.
So that,
if Brent, for
that
example,
right there,
now from a hover,
that's the most important. In my opinion, that is the most important part of this change. Is you can't hover. This is a problem that has plagued Star Citizen for its entirety of its life. People have been able to do whatever the heck they want with any size ship, in any orientation, in any atmosphere, which is like not. I don't. It doesn't make sense. They're like, what's the point of giving a small ship if your big ship can fly and act the same way? So I think this is a really important part of the change. And like was mentioned, honestly, you're right. I don't think they're going to do this is not going to be Microsoft Flight Simulator or DCS level of aerodynamics and simulation. It will probably be stripped down and more basic than them, but it will depend on your ship. And that's ultimately the point, is just to make sure that ships actually have some specialization and benefit from the features that they give up or they take for other reasons. Now, the rest of this post did have some more information on it. We'll continue with. Here are some of the changes that are coming along. Proximity Assist has been rewritten from the ground up. Instead of acceleration limits, the new Proximity Assist is based on only an adaptive speed limit. Based on several conditions, closeness to the environment, obstruction along the TVI, and ship stability, Proximity Assist will contextually enable and cut down the max speed of your ship. That allows you to do more very smooth landings or careful maneuvers in tight spaces without using the speed limiter. That would be cool. Now, before PvP sweaters go into shock here, contextually it only enables when you are maneuvering carefully already. It will never enable during hard maneuvering, and you can of course turn it off. There are two separate options whether your landing gear is on or off. You can also force it by holding the boost button. So far in internal tests that works quite well. That's interesting. Wait, you can force it by holding the boost button. Wouldn't that just meet your speed limiter if you're holding the boost button? Either way, I like that you can turn it off and then use it as a toggle. That's pretty nice. You guys actually might be hearing the server beep in the background every once in a while. If you are hearing a beep, that is it screaming at us, telling us, please save me. The second point here is the automatic slowdown option has been removed entirely because the new Proximity Assist takes care of that in a more flexible way. We don't have any dates when we can ship this out to players. As I said, this will likely be coming along with the new Quantum experience and control surfaces Those two are not yet ready for multiplayer. Probably still tuning in for Squadron. So the quantum experience is also a big part of what's coming in, because with quantum experience updates, we will be seeing not just the new quantum system graphics and functionality, which looks pretty freaking sick.
Let's show that. And take your hands off.
So for quantum travel, the new mechanic is basically going to be a little more interactive, requiring probably having like a navigations officer on big ships or something. But you'll see here that you have to keep the ship centered on the quantum bubble in order to stay within it for the first maybe 10 seconds of the trip, just to make sure that you stabilize, and then you go all the way. It's just a slightly new mechanic to the feature.
Bubble is locked. You can now go hands off. Okay, so there's a second variant of quantum travel. And
yeah, as mentioned in chat, another important part of the quantum travel update is that this will physicalize the entire process. So instead of just being moved along the spline, the ship will actually be moving through the space. Also means that we might not be able to quantum travel through asteroid belts, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in a future date. Here is one of the most important parts of this update that's coming with quantum travel soon.
oh, actually, sorry. Thank you. Okay, so what Brand is currently showing here is, I think I forgot to mention, quantum boosting works in every direction. You don't need nav points.
And this will help us with navigating around planets. This will help us with getting to our friends faster. This is, yeah, free direction quantum travel is going to be such a boon for this game. Oh man, that's a big deal. So, no, none of this is 4.1. None of this is next patch. This is all just being talked about right now. I'm just telling you because this information is being shared on the forum. But it is the work that is currently ongoing with the flight model. Wow, been through four NASs. I guess I am just a certified NAS idiot because I have problems with this thing far too often. All right. So that's the update that we had. That's the one that I had seen. Let me see if... Yeah, this is... So Yogi just got a little active over the weekend, talked a little about... this is great. The devs are a lot of times just on the forums answering some questions here and there, which is pretty nice. You know, someone is going to accidentally quantum boost out in the middle of nowhere and run out of fuel. Of course, I probably will. We're going to get stranded a lot. And that's good. Why am I talking about it if none is in the next patch? Wait. Hustlebones, how long have you been coming to this stream? Oh, Yogi. I was going to say, this is what I do. Yogi's talking about it because somebody asked questions. He was just answering them. How many drives do you need? Well, I mean, I'm going to get one. It's like, all I'm trying to do is make it work. I'm going to get one for now and then just update them as I go. Can we also force quantum into a planet? I bet but maybe your ship will be like, hey, that's not going to work. Your ship will probably force you out of quantum. Let's be honest. Is quantum boosting meant as other things an escape method when getting pirated? I'm betting it'll be better to quantum boost, yes, because quantum boost is immediate. All you have to do is press a button and you jump. With quantum traveling, you have to calibrate, you have to spool up, and then you have to launch and go. So that's going to be a very, very, very big change for how we move around in this game when they release quantum boost. But again, none of that's coming right now. I'm hoping we see it in the EPTU sometime soon. Hopefully during the 4.1 cycle, but who knows. All right. Now I'm going to drop us into a little talk that they had over in December about the kind of specific change coming to this system. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but this will lay it out in a little more confident talk, what they're actually going to do. You have to switch modes? Yeah. You have to jump into quantum or into operator mode or into quantum travel operator mode. Tired of seeing ships just suspended in mid-air. No kidding.
IAE show, and it starts right now.
All right, thank you so much. Welcome to the IAE show. I'm Jared. We're here talking with Rich and John about the future of space combat, spaceship operations in our Persistent Universe game. There's a couple topics we're going to cover, one today and then two more as we go. I want to talk about something that is at the core of the entire spaceship experience, and that's time to kill. Now, right now in Star Citizen, as players have known it since 2015, your ship can take a few shots and then it goes, poof, fiery explosion. A very impressive fiery explosion. Shout out to Mike Snowden and his team there. But that's not the experience that we've been building towards. And a lot of the changes that we announced at CitizenCon with insurance and whatnot, these are tied into the future direction of spaceships and life on board spaceships. Talk to me about time to kill. How long are these ships supposed to last? Are they supposed to go up like confetti like they
Okay, hold on.
do?
This might be the wrong episode. Let me just... yeah, this is about time to kill. My bad. I think we want episode 2, not episode 1. The time to kill discussion is actually a really good one too. I would suggest checking that out, but we are looking for... this one?
Combat that is, say, not as fun.
Yeah, here we go.
In the room here, master modes. We'd been talking about master
Alrighty,
modes for quite
folks,
some
here we
time,
go.
building it up as the big savior of the spaceship combat experience. It released to mixed reviews at times. Some people are for it, some people are less than for it. We'll just say that kindly. I want to talk about what our plan is, what our vision is. Where are we going with this? What is the plan moving forward with master modes? And I'm just going to take off and leave you two here.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Right?
Yeah, I don't want to be in that.
I think the big thing around master modes is that it never was designed to be a static piece of development. We always wanted to make sure that we were adding in new systems as they came along that then influenced those design decisions that we made at the time. And I think two big pieces of feature work that we're going to be bringing to Star Citizen that's going to have a drastic change on how we implement master modes is going to be crafting and quantum boost. So right now with master modes itself, we have obviously the two master modes, SCM and NAV. A big thing is that we're going to actually be demoting or converting those modes from master modes to operator modes. What that inherently means is that we're still going to have a mode that is dedicated to fighting and having combat. There is going to be a mode that's dedicated to your quantum, but we're going to be removing some of the fail-safe restrictions, yes, that had when you're switching between these modes. We're going to be moving towards one cohesive speed between all operator modes. That speed is going to be more akin to what you'd imagine SCM speeds are now, but there's two big, huge caveats that come into that. First off is crafting. So crafting will allow you to upgrade your ship and to tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you want to have combat at higher speeds, if you have a tier 5 ship and you have the best thrusters and you've specialized, you've bought an interceptor ship, that will be more applicable to those types of ships. So that gives people options to choose, like I want to have this type of gameplay versus this type of gameplay. Having that cohesive, unified speed, the one thing that we really need to address is this kind of like nav flight mode that is kind of, it sits in this very odd position in terms of you get out of an LZ and you're flying up to the space station, you know, in atmosphere your speed is really closer to SCM speeds anyway. You're not flying at 1,000 meters a second. You can pick up start a bounty hunter mission now, be sent to another planet, and then the closest quantum point to that POI might be 500 kilometers away.
Dude, raise your hands, guys. How many times has that happened when you're like, okay, I hit the OM, I'm ready to head down to the outpost, and you look and it's like 800 kilometers. Like, okay, I'll just step out of the side of my ship and fall down there. That's good times. Hey, Grayson, welcome to the live stream. First time in here, been watching the channels, wanted to say, do an amazing job delivering this info and keeping it fun and engaging. Well, thanks for checking it out and giving it a watch and a chance. Hope you keep enjoying.
And that means that, you know, as we add more dense POIs, that's going to only exacerbate this situation because we can't have quantum markers everywhere. And when we start to add more space exploration and more missions towards the different guilds that we're operating on, where you're going to having to go into deep space and go into these large distances, you don't want to be in a position where that's taking such a huge amount of time. We want you to be spending more time doing the mission than flying there. This is where Quantum Boost comes in. Now, the way that Quantum Boost works is kind of, it connects your flight speeds to your quantum travel. So quantum travel is for flying millions of kilometers away when you have a specific quantum marker that you're flying towards. And then you've got your flight speeds, which should be, you know, say sub 20 kilometers, where you're flying around, exploring on the planet, or fighting at a POI, or doing a bounty hunting. But anywhere above that, we want to kind of accelerate that process of that navigation. And Quantum Boost goes all the way up to your top speed of SCM, or top speed of our flight mode, your current nav mode, all the way up to essentially a tenth of quantum travel speed.
The way he says that is weird because that makes it sound like it makes it sound like Quantum Boost gives you the ability to control your speed, but I'm not sure that's the case. I'm pretty sure he's just saying like it ramps up from the top of what our current nav mode is up to there. Because I don't see how Quantum Boost would be a different sort of speed when they've already dictated that it's like 10% of whatever our quantum travel is. But maybe that is the case. I think it just sounds a little weird there. Feels like a long distance while you're in a spaceship, even at full throttle. 500 kilometer feels like forever. Yeah. It's also like when you're like half a kilometer away from something and then you tap the button on your spaceship and suddenly you're right next to it. The scaling is very strange. Isn't flying there part of the mission? You thought that this was the everything game isn't flying part of everything. Wait, what? You thought this was the everything game isn't flying part of. Oh, I see. Yes, well, you still can fly there. The point is you get the choice to do it. Let me know where I can help with aiding you in getting the drive ASAP. Appreciate you, Turtle Tommy. Thank you. The best way to help us out is using the exclamation point tip function on Twitch. That's the number one method, and I really appreciate the thought. Thank you. He's trying to make it sound faster. I actually think he's trying to make it sound slower than it is, because it goes really freaking fast. I don't know why in the world they're even mentioning the top range of navigation mode. Nobody's going to be interested in quantum traveling at that speed.
SCM, or top speed of our current nav mode.
Like if you're looking at Quantum Boost, you're looking to fly tens of kilometers at the minimum. Why would you care about going 1,200 meters per second? It's just a interesting distinction.
To essentially a tenth of quantum travel speed. You have this spectrum of speeds that allow you to navigate the large spaces in our game, but also then still stay true to some of the intentions that we delivered with master modes.
Master modes we talked a lot about, and the combat side broadly staying the same. The nav side that was
one-tenth the speed of quantum travel.
Said, like,
quantum travel itself is a fraction of light
not
speed.
Fast enough. The amount of times we watch new players go into nav,
still super fast,
go towards a station, and then we'd be sat there going, they've not stopped in time. So Quantum Boost was always supposed to be that bridge gap, and without it, we were left with this sort of nav mode that didn't quite do what we wanted. And it also, because it's quantum and it's creating a bubble around your ship, allows us less friction in the traversal, because you go in quantum, you come out quantum, you don't have to apply all this G-force.
The rules of physics are
different because you're not physically hurtling at that speed, you're wrapping a bubble of time and space around yourself. So you come out, you can stop dead, you're not having that expanse moment where you're all being ripped apart from the G-force. So you see that space station coming towards you, you stop, you stop.
The one limitation that we are retaining is the fact that you can't.
We don't want to know when.
Quantum drive.
Hearing when is just going to mean disappointment.
Also your shields. And ultimately, that's a binary decision. Operator modes will start off as the default configuration that we've set in terms of the controls, in terms of the MFDs and what you're casting onto your HUD, in terms of your resource network presets. But that doesn't stop you from then going in and customizing it. We're providing an initial, hey, this is what we think is a good default setting. But then it's up to the players then to customize what they want on their cast, what they want on their MFDs, and then they have options to them. And they shouldn't have this constant switching modes to gain access to certain operator modes. You know, we're removing some of that friction.
And through all of this, because that binary distinction is between modes, you have to be in this mode or this mode, and there's all these very strict rules between those modes, you keep your weapons through all this. So this now becomes a more tactical decision in combat. But if you need that sudden burst of speed, either to get away from something or to catch up to something, you make the choice. You sacrifice your shields, certainly, but you can still bring your weapons to bear and stuff, get there, and the second you're out.
And ultimately, that is underpinned by your resource network engineering. So if you're on
that would
a
mean
single-seater ship,
a big detail there means that countermeasures, even if they're tied to weapons, will always work too. So if you're fleeing and you are spooling up your quantum drive, and for whatever reason you are not just quantum boosting out of there, maybe you're snared or something, you will still be able to have your turret gunner firing off shots at the person chasing you, and you will still be able to fire off countermeasures. So this change is going to make it very hard to pirate a ship, because on top of this, you also can't blow ships up anymore. You're now trying to just disable them. I mean, you can blow them up, just not as much. So piracy is going to get a lot more difficult with security systems coming in, with reputation actually having a difference, with hostility starting to make a difference with gangs. And then on top of that, we are going to have better scanning functionality, so you'll be able to see which ships are dangerous and what aren't from further away. It's going to get... Yeah. Systems that are actually supposed to be safe will be safe. And you'll need to have quantum snares and EMPs in order to really effectively take a ship down.
That's obviously at the pilot's behest, but also if you're on a larger multi-crew ship, you can then use the engineering terminal to be able to have those presets available to you.
And through the use of crafting to improve your components, and of course your presets, and quantum boost rather, you can get up to speeds that are approaching the current nav speed and stuff like that. So we're not taking that speed away. We're defaulting everything to a speed that is closer to today's SCM. Yeah. And then giving the player choices in how and when they can get up to that speed without completely disabling everything.
I mean, ultimately, it allows us to keep the default. We're trying to move towards a balance across the game where you can start off easier and it gets harder. So we want the default to be open and compatible to lots of players, but then as you start to specialize and it becomes hard to master and you start to work in different avenues of different professions that you like, that's where you can start to customize your ship. And I think there's a key takeaway or a key point to also make is that if you don't want to craft, if you don't want to go down that route because you just want to shoot ships and be a combat pilot, or you just want to be a miner or a space trucker, there's nothing wrong with that. You can still gain access to this because player trading is going to be something that allows players to gain access to these components and ships without having to go through some of the grind that they have, and obviously they're now reaping the benefits of that. But you have lots of choice.
Obviously, there isn't one prototypical Star Citizen player. Developing a system that's going to please everybody is an impossible task. We can only work towards our goals and our vision for what we want this to be, and hope it applies to as many people as possible. What I like about this What I like about this is that you can never go wrong with putting the choice in the player's hands. At any given situation, when you're going to want your speed, when you're going to want your shields, you'll always have your weapons from now on. So like this, just put those choices in the player's hands and let them let them decide for themselves. It's one of those things unique about Star Citizen is that we get to develop this, and then we don't have to wonder. We can put it into players' hands and get that feedback immediately and then take it in. I think there's a real chance for this to be the spaceship experience we've been working towards this whole time.
I think the big thing to take away from all the things that we've discussed is that none of these things are designed or implemented in isolation. And where we're trying to go is that, you know, when we talk about combat that is, say, not as fast as it was in previous updates, hopefully people understand we're doing that not just because we don't like fast combat, it's because we want to give players options to gain fast combat or gain slower combat depending on what choices they make with crafting or their purchases. Then it's on a scenario where, you know, capital warfare is, you know, you need to be able to use precision targeting, and that's why we developed that feature so that you can have good subcomponent targeting. And I think when you start to see some of this bigger picture come together, and you start to see all of these individual pieces connect, you might not agree with it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. That's how we're trying to connect all these pieces together to create this experience that ultimately Chris is the one that is setting that vision, and we're trying to execute on that vision for Chris. And
You know, I think that it's really going to come down to how, like, dampeners and snares and EMPs. I think that's going to be the sort of fulcrum of not PvP, but like ambushes and piracy. I think those are going to be pretty important. That's about it. That's really what I want to go over with the flight model. This has been a very long, much longer than I planned on it being, but really I just wanted to give you guys an update on kind of what is going on with the flight model. Again, nothing's coming soon. This isn't any confirmation that it's happening in 4.1 or during that branch. This is just that somebody asked a question and somebody who knew the answers to that question was able to answer, and I wanted to let you guys know what they said and a little bit of the info that comes with it. So thanks for checking it out. They need to make QT or damp ships not be able to move while the field is on. If they keep playing with the power management, I think that could do a good job. And that can go for, because they're already saying that the power management is going to change how fast our ship goes. Maybe they can do a little bit more with limiting the shots your ship has in terms of guns or the amount of quantum boost like you can do. I don't know. Maybe if you're using more power from different systems, you leave behind a bigger signature when you quantum jump. So the more stuff you're using, the more stuff you have powered on, the easier it is for somebody to track you after you've jumped away. Have a feeling that dampeners, snares, and EMPs will also be impacted by hacking gameplay. Yeah, that whole segment of things, like the E-War stuff, hacking, EMPs, dampeners, snares, and even the way that that works compared to when you're talking about life support, armor, maelstrom, and like ballistics, lasers, and what's it called? Distortion cannons, all that stuff's gonna have to be balanced after they get around to putting engineering in, I guess. Uh-oh. I think we almost just lost access to the music. Dampeners and other pirating tools need to be strong enough to work and halt players even in a chase. Oh, you're talking about needing to be still? Mass will affect ship speed, yeah. Alrighty. We only have one patch watch, so we must be getting another patch watch this week. Come on! I keep losing the music. Oh, hey. Before we continue, I've been really wanting to show you guys something. So, I'm like a real big sucker for just nice graphics and renders and sci-fi and like crunchy, fun to look at stuff. Also a real big fan of people's imaginations. People are real smart, real bright. So, I've been like kind of going throughout YouTube finding different channels that I like that post those sorts of things, but there's one that I found like a couple months ago that I've seen several times before but I never clicked into, and I started watching their videos and oh man, they're so good. I just sit on the couch and watch them for hours. Basically, this is one of those channels where they will put out a prompt to people and be like, hey guys, give me your best render for this prompt, and then they get a whole bunch of renders and they find the best and then they post a video of it. Now you can watch the whole thing, but those are like 4 hours long. But I have been watching these render videos by name Punisher. I'm gonna drop the link in chat for you guys because they deserve your follows if you're into this kind of stuff. Let me show you just how amazing this is, and I'm betting within a couple minutes, you're going to want to check these out because there are a couple in here that I think this community is going to love. So again, this is just kind of, it's a little bit of a hobby. I like watching pretty videos and renders and stuff. But this guy, whew, and there are a few channels that do it. It's not just this guy, but oh my gosh, they're very cool. So here's like the title card. I'll skip throughout a little bit. I don't want to give you guys the whole video. Just entice you a little bit. Oh yeah, and also the music is always really good. Oh, he used to be with Corridor? Really? That's funny because they did a reaction to this one. So I bet that was a fun moment. So you get an idea of what the prompt is pretty quickly here. And there's a whole bunch of, some of them you'll have a character running across screens. Sometimes they're like doing a jump animation. Sometimes it's like a box floating. This one is like just a cool view. And I love it because there's always like, there's always something amazing going on in the foreground I want to see. But then in the background, like I'm watching here and I'm like, ooh, what's this detail? What's that? This is cool. Love those boxes. That's nice lighting. Love the colors. And then in the background, suddenly it's like, oh. But there are some favorites here that I'll show you. I want to save some of this for funsies. There's when I know the people of, here we go. Okay. I feel like this has got to be one of the most popular renders to come out, right? People love this stuff, dude. Helldivers is like one of the most popular things ever. Yeah, you guys, if anybody is a Kaizamet viewer, you should get him to react to these. These are freaking sick, dude. I don't know. I can get, there's light here and there's backlighting here. And so this person looks good and that person also looks good. But other than that, I could not tell you what he can tell you about these scenes. And oh yeah, there's this one. This is a pretty nice one. Very, like, if you don't know this one, then come on. And then I really love this one too. Like jacking in. Dude, I watched this like 8 times because of all the details here. I'm like, everything that happens in this is so cool. But yeah, I highly suggest, like, if you're into this kind of stuff, I would check it out. You could just sit here for minutes on end and watch all these different ideas come together from people all over the world. And they all get credit, so you can go and check out all of their personal stuff. And there's just dozens and dozens of these. But yeah, enough of that. That's just, I meant to show you guys that during the beginning of the stream because I'm obsessed with it. I want to tell you guys are my friends and I want to talk to my friends about these things. So check that out if you will. Give the guy a follow, give him a sub, and come on Discord so we can talk about the cool ones because these things are freaking sick. Okay, back to Star Citizen. Next up, I wanted to talk about 4.1. The new update coming out. I do believe we're basically at a point where we can go ahead and, yeah, I dropped the link in chat. I'll drop it again. I believe that we are at the point where we kind of know everything that's coming into 4.1, so I thought we'd do a real quick summary here on Space Tomato 2, and then I'll get something worked out for you on the main channel. And I'll release that probably next week after it comes out, or maybe at the end of this week. I don't know when it's coming out. Likely towards the end of this week. It is the March update, and we know that they're aiming for March, which kind of ends next week. So I'm pretty sure it's going to launch at the end of this week, but it might be next Monday, maybe. Real interesting thing is going to be, does it slip out of March, or do they still hit the deadline? All right, first thing to know when going over 4.1 is that it is not the same as other updates. I mean, it kind of is in that AAK. Thank you, my friend, for the 5 subs on Twitch, dude. It means a lot. Much love to you, buddy. I hope you're doing well. 4.1, everything that is on this column is Q1 and Q2. Now, I'm guessing that's because technically they could drop the patch in March of Q1, but what they used to do with these patches is, like, your Q1 update would be technically scheduled for April 1st, and then it would slip into April. So with 3.13, it was April 22nd. With 3.5, it was April 17th. With 3.17, it was April 29th. And in this one, it was May. So generally, they slip behind. What they're trying to say with this one is that, no, we're not going to have it slip behind. It's going to release. But the kicker is, these features are all spread throughout 4.1, 4.1.1, 4.1.2, and any other point patch that might come out. So when you look at the roadmap that is scheduled for 4.1 and you scroll through this, you'll see things that are committed and tentative. If it's committed, this is coming out in 4.1. So by the end of this week, we may very well have on live the Parallax Rifle, Wickelow's Emporium, the Harbor Mining Station, which is one of the orbital stations at the new Hathor ground locations. Those ground locations, the mission sandbox activity that's related to those, the mission giver Wickelow, who's at the Emporium, and that is it. And then also, obviously, we have the stuff from the Patch Watch, including the Corsair balancing, the firepower that's coming to new ships. So this is some of the weapons changes that we talked about just earlier today when we were going over the Paladin. Reclaimer's getting an update, Argo's getting an update, Anvil, Raft, the Carrack, Valkyrie, and the Hercules are all getting added pilot access to weapons. The Valkyrie is getting its update, so that's getting buffed a little bit. The combat collision improvements, which I guess is kind of just like an Aurora's not going to blow up a Polaris if it crashes into it. That's actually really important. That's a playability change that I don't think really many people are thinking about anyways. And then the radar update's coming along. I've heard this is a solid one. Moist Noodle said it sounded like he was pretty satisfied with it. I haven't seen it in action, but refining the systems is good. That definitely helps us out. Arena Commander editions, not really a big deal to most people, but it's good that they're still supporting it and making use of the resources they have. If the performance goes up, I'll play it more. It's actually pretty fun. We've got some AI improvements, so we've all noticed that AI is doing better at combat, but they also will stop shooting us down. They'll stop double tapping us, meanies. NPCs are going to be performing a little bit better. Mining updates. They're adding a bunch of new minerals to the game. Some of them are being added for ground mining. Some of them are being added for FPS mining. In doing so, they are also creating a progression tier within each of these mining categories. So you don't have to just be like, hey, I'm a brand new miner. I want to start out and progress. Do I have to start with FPS mining? No, you could start with ground mining. You can start with any mining. It doesn't matter. They all are moving parallel to each other so that you can specialize in one if you like that version of mining more without missing out on like a difficulty curve of sorts, and probably without missing out on too much of the profit possibilities. These aren't all we're going to be getting, but it's a continuation of a trend that started about a year or so ago when they started adding iron and gold and stuff like that. They're clearly starting to flesh out commodities to get ready for crafting, and mining will be a big part of that. So those are mostly updates that are coming in 4.1, but the most important thing is just to recognize that while we're getting a new mission giver finally for the first time in a long time, pretty cool, and we're getting new locations and sandbox activities and all that stuff, there's still some things here that are not ready. The SMG from Volt hasn't even been mentioned or shown off, so it's probably something that's going to drop in 4.1.1, which we kind of expected, because they mentioned, they had like a post a while ago. I cannot remember what it was for, but they had an announcement where they basically mentioned that, hey, we're going to put these weapons into the game, but we're going to do them one patch at a time over the course of however much time. Let me see if I can find that post. I think it was a roadmap roundup. Here we go. So back in February, when they kind of released the column for 4.1, we saw these things get added, and we were speculating on what they might be. And when they added this stuff, I swear they had said, maybe it was a forum post where they said they were adding the Volt weapons every patch, basically going forward. So we still do have, we have the SMG, we have the parallax rifle, but we also have a pistol and a sniper rifle. Yeah, so we have the parallax, the Fresnel, the pulse, and the quartz. We're getting the parallax now. The quartz is coming next. We still will be getting the pulse, which is a pistol, which should be pretty cool. I honestly, a pistol from Volt might actually be my new go-to pistol, depending on how it works. And then we also have a shotgun, which is, oh, sorry, the Fresnel is the SMG, the quartz. No, are they two SMGs? Okay, maybe there are two SMGs and not a shotgun. I could have sworn there was a shotgun. I don't know. Either way, that's all to just explain that this panel is not all coming right now. We also have a new armor set coming. We have seen this. In fact, I think somebody was posting about this on Reddit. just kind of showing off the different trims. If you don't want to see it, go ahead and look away. Not seeing it. I might have missed it. Either way, there's a new armor set coming. It is supposed to be a part of kind of helping get... Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. It's supposed to help with fleshing out these specialized armors that we're starting to get. We're going to notice some stats that have to go with them soon. So this is just another step in that direction. I think we'll be seeing armors pretty regularly too. Weapons and armors are back in the game regularly. The new PvE combat missions underground for rare parts has you excited? Antium armor? Thank you. Yeah, so this is the new armor. It's heavy armor. It's a little weird. Weirdly, it doesn't have a backpack. Ooh, I like this. It's got weird arms. They've got like an exoskeleton. So I'm guessing maybe this will have some... I wonder if this will have any level of like added stamina. Because it's easier to lift things. So like shooting guns and lifting yourself and carrying things doesn't remove as much stamina. I don't know. That'd be interesting maybe. They're going to have to figure out how to make the Volt pistol different from the rifle, the Lightning Company rifle. This is not the stealth suit. This is heavy. Yeah, no backpack is a strange choice. But it looks like they have a few different versions of it. So this is the new armor coming in. Another new heavy. And then besides that, we've got the SMG. And then the third thing that is still uncommitted on here are space combat missions. A new set of ship combat missions featuring improved scenario design and refined storytelling. Now I'm wondering if these are going to have escorts. We saw talk of missions that would require you to escort NPCs around the star system and they would stop off at places and you'd make sure they're safe. That would have more storytelling to it. Whatever this is, I'm guessing it is a step above the recent yellow security threat missions we've been getting in the mercenary tab. This will be kind of like maybe like ship combat missions that are similar to the FPS missions we're seeing in Pyro now. Because those are very much focused on telling a story of what's going on in Pyro. This might be focused a little bit more around telling why we're actually fighting ships in Stanton. Could also be part of the next narrative event that they make. They could make a narrative event, and then just like with Supply or Die, they release the missions that run that event separately throughout the game. We're seeing collection missions come in now, despite those just being a thing with Supply or Die. So there's a lot of possibilities of what this could be. I do think we'll still see more coming into 4.1 over the coming months besides this. And there will be small changes that show up that are kind of like these we see on patch watches that don't deserve their own card on there, but will make a difference to a lot of players. Throughout this whole period, of course, while the content's being delivered, they will be continuing to work on bug fixing and stuff. I would say let's mainly just keep an eye on what they're doing with their strike team working on elevators and trains. I think that's the biggest thing affecting people right now, and once they can get that fixed, it should be a lot better. Either way, that's a little bit of a final look at 4.1 before it probably goes live later this week or next week. Hope you got your summary in. See you around. What's up, Sephiroth? Oh, and you're just giving it no sevens. Mostly hoping for service beacons and police NPCs coming back. Yeah, security NPCs would be great for this game. Dum, dum. Where's all the special armor? Specialist armor? Let's see. They're definitely working on it here. I think it gets mentioned in the January monthly report. Probably not coming in 4.1. That might be their 4.2 armor drop. Definitely going to pad it out throughout the year. Working overtime and listening in the background is a blessing. I hope the overtime's going well. Let's see. On the community side, no, sorry, on the character side, arts. Let's see, they worked on the Duster armor, stealth armor, new backpack, and developed new creatures. Okay, how about February? After the February monthly report, I'm really excited to see what happens in March. I'm freaking pumped for March. Come on, please come back. God. I'm pretty sure my server is actually dying. The music keeps cutting off. And I keep thinking, as long as my webcam... Hold on, does this work? Yeah, see, you can tell. So these files are on the server. Like this overlay that's around me right now is coming from the NAS. See, that's why when I get onto this screen, it's a little more laggy. It's actually not too bad. We're not doing too bad. And you can see Toes Gang. Oh. Zaeth, right? Zaeth Bolton. Yeah, that's Toes Gang. Today's Toes. That's what I should change it to. Today's Toes. You passed your first welding test. 73. Passing is passing. Dude, nice. Congrats on passing. Seriously. The lucky break helmet. Yeah, no, you've got to have the cracked view. That's just the way it is. Taryn, thank you for the bits, dude. Eat a slice for me? We should get some pizza today. Oh no, it's not the power supply. It's definitely the actual storage. Like it tells me you have a hard drive error. Your storage is too full. I can't access the software. I need to just get more. Turtle, thank you so much, dude. I don't know what you sent, but whatever it is, I really appreciate it. Whatever that might be. Love your name, by the way. That actually reminds me. I think I should probably say something about this now, because I've gotten a few questions about it recently, and never clarified this. Sorry, this is a quick break from Star Citizen stuff. This is a little bit more of a personal thing, and I just want to let you all know some news. Northern Hermit, I think the command for that is ! Throne, if I'm not mistaken. So earlier in the year, about a month or so ago, a little more than a month ago, we got news from Turkey that no? Is that not it? I don't know what it would... Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know why it doesn't have a command. I'll just drop the link for you. Thank you though, by the way. So earlier this month or last month, we got news from Mrs. Tomato's parents who go to the house every day and like take care of the dogs and stuff. Tommy was missing from the house, which she does. She does that. She leaves the house and then comes back every once in a while. But this time she was not coming back, and they were looking for her and waiting, but couldn't find her. So over the coming weeks, we had let you guys know about this, and we didn't know what was really happening, but we were hopeful. Over the coming weeks, nothing really happened, and we weren't really sure where she was. About a week and a half ago or so, I want to say, Mrs. Tomato's parents called her, and they found Tommy, and they took her to the vet to get her help and get her back up to being okay. Fuck, I didn't think I was gonna cry.
Do not be a sad tomato.
Ah, shit, I didn't think I was gonna cry. She didn't live. And I still don't know why. I haven't asked. I don't want to know yet. But a lot of people have been asking, and I haven't really opened up about it. But yeah. And I don't really know. I don't know what happened or how she passed away. Mrs. Tomato does. But yeah, that's kind of the way it is. And because of that, we are basically just taking the position that we're not going to have any more pets unless they can actually come with us, because I don't think I will ever get over the feeling that, well, yeah, you guys know how it probably feels. But I just wanted to make that clear because there are questions about that, and it's going to be coming up, and I'm imagining excuse me, I'm imagining once we get back to Turkey, it's going to be a lot harder. So as that gets closer, I might get a little more emotional about that. But yeah, just wanted to make that clear. Holy shit, didn't think that was going to be that hard. Thank you for the kind wishes. It's the shitty part is just that yeah, I don't know. The shitty part's the whole thing. But I miss her and I love her, and I'm probably going to like go back to doing the dog pictures thing. I don't know if Lord Skippy's in chat, but he will remember that. Go back to, we used to have a command and people could spawn basically a random picture of Tommy, and I want to do that because she was an important part of the stream, and like we talked about her a lot, and you guys, a lot of you knew who she was, and you've been around since we got her, which was like 4 years ago. So yeah, I'm just gonna make her a little emote and stuff too. Maybe we'll make one for Milo too, because he's our other, and we love him, and yeah. Anyways, let's get back to Star Citizen questions and things, because I'm waiting for them to do their weekend review, or whatever's coming up this week. Up until then, we can just kind of chat about whatever's going on. Thank you for the hugs. Appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words, guys. How the current instability in Turkey gets cleared up. Well, we're heading back in June. But to be quite honest, we want to be back there. We want to be there to support the country and the people and be a part of what's going on, because we care. I mean, Honey's from there, but we care a lot about that country and about its future and its democracy and its ability to thrive. So yeah, we go ahead back and represent, you know. We actually went to a protest this weekend in San Francisco for Turkey. There weren't that many people, obviously, but like we saw other Turkish people there and folks were there in solidarity. You remember the puppy pictures, Taryn? Those are good times, man. Couldn't take your dog to be put down when she had a nervous system disease. Damn. Yeah, dude, that's... Animals are hard. Tommy. Turtle Tommy. Mrs. Tomato just saw your help. Thank you so much.
you.
I just told them about Tommy. Because Turtle Tommy reminded me of it. But, yeah.
Doing so strong. Really strong. Hungry?
I'm doing okay, thank you. Could use some water. My mouth is dry. Sorry. How do you feel about Maelstrom basically being another Jesus tech blocker on the game? So many things seem locked behind it. It's kind of crazy. What things do you feel are locked behind it? Definitely affects armor and salvage. Bodily damage too is probably a thing, yeah. Thank you. I don't know if it's a blocker, though. Outside of the ship damage system, kind of. I don't know how much of it is blocked versus just not as good. Does a test server carry forward over to the PTU? No. No, they don't. Yeah, sorry to put a little damper on the chat, guys. I didn't think that was going to get that emotional, but I keep putting off saying something, and I don't want to do it when we're playing Star Citizen, so I wanted to do it on a Monday. Is engineering? Yeah, engineering is a blocker. And that, I'm sure they want to get that one in as fast as possible. Sir, for currently facing the same situation with your 16-year-old dorky. Wow, that's old. A lot of good times, I hope. Sorry to hear that. Just hear about it on the news, wonder how it might be affecting you guys. It's been really difficult for Mrs. T. While Turkey's been dealing with like a leader who has clinged to power for far too long, the country has still always been very much affected and driven by the people and the military. And there's just been a lot of attacks on both of those groups recently from the government, and you know, they're rallying to do it, but it really affects the people. Think they need Maelstrom for physicality and power pipes. Damage for repairs. Okay. Yeah. A lot of the damage stuff though, for sure. I don't know if it's necessarily Jesus Tech. It's definitely not going to be as hard as something like server meshing, but it is annoying that there are still functionality based features like that are taking so long to get done. Ah, Axel, I'm sorry to hear about your dog Zeus. Good name though. Good name for a dog. You've been away a while. What is there to do in the new distribution centers? Mostly fighting. I know Ananzi is Ananzi, you're big on the distribution centers, right? You like those? Yeah, they're pretty good for FPS missions. Normally listen to your streams at work, driving your truck. Keep up the good work. Oh, you taking the day off today, Oz? Thanks for dropping in. Government is attacking someone. Yeah, they are trying to basically stop the people from voting for the person that they want ahead of time. So election's not for another 2 years, but they just jailed the main person that the people want. And so the people rightfully were like, hey, screw this, and they're out protesting in huge numbers across the country. They're getting pepper sprayed by police. They're getting sprayed by hoses. It looks a lot like the protests there at the Gezi Square in, I think, 2012, 2013. against the government. And hopefully we can turn the tide, because it's just ridiculous. Hey, Mohammed. Good to see you. Haven't played any more ED yet, nah. Oh, 7 in the UK. Okay, cool. Cool. Well, enjoy your evening. Thanks for dropping by. Yeah, pretty illegal. Pretty illegal. They all right, never mind. I won't keep getting into it. Sephiroth, they've tried all kinds of things like that, yeah. They've done different things to grab power in different ways. It's not new. It's also not old. Countries across the world are doing this and have done this like every few years in different ways, and it's up to the people. It's up to freaking us, to like pick what's best for us. Did a distribution center last night with the friends and accidentally killed a security guard. Dude, I hate that. I hate having to constantly check if that security person is just wearing weird armor or if they're actually a bad person. Taryn, you haven't been able to play? Been having troubles with game freezing up for your character suddenly, just running around while your hands are off the keyboard. Wait, your character moves around without you? That doesn't sound good. JJ425, it is late stages of the beginning. They've done, it's like I said, I don't want to get too much into it, but we've been watching this kind of stuff for like a long time now, over a decade. And this is definitely by far the worst thing they've done, but it's been headed in this direction. And I think it's a good lesson. I think it's a great lesson to look ahead at where people like that might want to go eventually. They want an aspect of realism in Star Citizen, and people don't want to walk around with red or blue auras, but you would not be breaking realism at that point. We need something to be able to tell who friendlies are better. Little UI elements, maybe something we can turn off if people want to. Excited to gear up like a heavy chonky tank with the deployable energy shield for that purpose, so you can ID and never fire first. Yeah, the droppable shields will be cool. Any other questions, y'all? Anything? Any topic. I'll bring up the footage associated. We'll talk about the news around it. Like, it's something that's poking your belly. It doesn't even have to be Star Citizen, to be honest. You guys can hit me up with another space game if you're interested in talking about them. I don't know of any real big space news that's dropped for games recently, but always willing to touch on something if there is something. Hoping the FPS scanning and combat helmets will have something like that. Yeah. Yeah, that would be a nice perk for combat helmets, huh? Where do baby Star Citizens come from? Elevators. No Man's Sky update coming this week. Has Sean started dropping his tweets, or did they announce they're going to make one? You got an awesome pawn shop PC with a 3070. Whoa. Hey, that's pretty good. Space Engineers 2 looks cool, but I'm hoping to hear more about like narrative focused stuff I can get into, because I'm not crazy about just like the pure player sandbox kind of thing. I know they have more narrative stuff, but I'm waiting to see what it actually looks like. General thoughts on the Ironclad preparing to take over the C2's King of Cargo role. I'm proud of it. I do think the C2 will still have a spot because it's got like 1/3 the cargo, and it'll be more efficient for certain applications, but a more diverse cargo lineup is always better for cargo players. Oh, but auto-loading isn't working? Sean dropped a bone, okay. Yeah, as he does. Hey, Skippy, we were just talking about getting the puppy picture command started up again. Thought you might be excited to hear. I told Chad about Tommy. Oh yeah, Elite Dangerous's colonization stuff. Yeah, that's why I need to get back into that game. Try that out. Will there be child models into SC? No, I don't think so. What was the lore behind death again? Like, what happens to your body when you die in lore? That's an interesting one. The actual full death? I mean, you just straight die in lore. But if you go through a cycle, your body gets disposed of, and then you get your kind of soul gets sent to a new body, kind of, in a way. It's more of a save file, but you get it. You get what I mean. Will GII be inhabiting a Hathor site on weekends akin to how y'all have operated at Pyro sites? Yes, we will. We've already been talking about it, actually. You can never be too tired about asking for the Endeavor. I have no idea when it's coming, though. Control surfaces, also don't know. They all got to be part of Squadron. Actually, I think Control Surfaces and Maelstrom are working in Squadron. That is why, in his post, Yogi specifically said, these systems aren't working yet for multiplayer. He didn't say they weren't working. Oh, Skippy, didn't you get the update on Tommy? Go ahead and message Mrs. Tomato. She'll let you know. So many goodest boys and girls in the Discord Pets channel. I love the Pets channel. That's a great place in GII. Like, even if you're sick of Star Citizen or whatever it is that you're playing at the moment, you can always go to the Pets and the Food channel on the Discord. People are talking about assets of Theater of War being added, but what was Theaters of War? Okay, Stanko. That's fun. That's a fun little journey. Let's check that out. Theaters of War was CitizenCon 2949. CitizenCon 949. Okay. I don't even know what panel it was in. Here? Yeah, here we go. Okay, check this out. This was a whole big thing that they hyped up for a while. Let us talk about... Yeah, this is a good one. Good question. So, the Hathor location is coming into Star Citizen in 4.1, and it is indeed repurposed assets. Thank you, CIG, for making good use of that. And it should be bringing some good content to the game, but as has been asked here, why? Why is this a thing? So let's look at Theaters of War. This was supposed to be a test situation, where players could jump into something like Arena Commander, essentially Arena Commander, and experience mixed arms combat, think Battlefield 2142 style gameplay, but with Star Citizen assets. And this would give them the chance to test out different styles of gameplay and see how FPS is working and all this stuff without people having to go into the PU, die, respawn, and do all that stuff over and over. Now, Arena Commander handles this, but it doesn't do it in a mixed arms format. So the point of this, as you'll see, was really to make sure people were going from vehicles to ships to FPS and interacting with one another so that they could start to understand how those interactions happen and balance things based on that. It didn't work. The game, as you know, doesn't run well, so this was never running well enough to actually get launched. And now that server meshing is in and Arena Commander does run a little bit better and they're making progress, maybe they will bring this in. I don't think it'll ever be its own mode, though. I think it's just going to be larger Arena Commander maps being used with mixed arms. And that's kind of what we're seeing with like this Arena Commander edition here is adding in Crossroads of Crime, the largest Arena Commander map ever. This very well could be somewhere where they start including these mixed arms combat. So we'll see if that happens or not, but let me let you give a little look on their best initiative they ever launched, Theaters of War.
I'm online. All right, very good. So, yeah, something to get out of the way real quick. I've been taking pictures with a lot of people today, and it's awesome. Had a lot of fun, but do me a solid. I've got to you guys take a picture with me this time, okay? All right, everybody say fuck in that picture.
Everybody say fuck.
All right. Okay, all ready? Of course, interesting. A lot of, kind of stuff. But today it's going to be a little bit different. So today I want to talk about a new game mode for Star Marine that we're calling Theaters of War. So up on stage with me and at the end is a lead FPS designer, Richard Tyre, and he's been instrumental in helping me build this game mode for Star Marine. And he's going to stick around to answer some questions during the Q&A at the end. So let's go over the agenda a little bit. So first what we're going to talk about is sort of the electronic access and lore and what that really is all about. How AC and SM fit into it, how Theaters of War will fit into it. Then we're going to talk about what Theaters of War actually is. So we're going to explain what Theaters is and kind of what the whole intent of the mode is and pretty much why we made it. Next, we're actually going to talk about the map that we're playing here at CitizenCon today. So it's a scenario.
Let's get to the explanation part. All right, come on.
Axis is like this simulator for all these different events that can go on within the universe. Basically, it's like an entertainment for the denizens of Star Citizen, for citizens. And it's really an important distinction because Arena Commander, Star Marine kind of exist under this umbrella. And because it's a simulation, we can kind of get away with some stuff that is a little more, quote-unquote gamey than it is in the persistent universe. In the persistent universe, things are a little more permanent.
It's a lot of talk.
Battles or anything like that, that basically these guys go in, simulate, and play through. So now let's talk about the scenario or the theater that we built for CitizenCon.
We gotta take the space. I'll keep you updated as we go. We'll watch each other's back and come home in one piece.
You can see it's classic Star Citizen combat. Like, it's very freaking low octane. Just like the only people who would get excited for this are people who had already been dealing with what FPS looked like in Star Citizen before, because this would just never fly at a normal game convention. But the idea behind it was still interesting because people just didn't have much to play back then.
All right, new plan. I think they're controlling it from that radar tower. I need all agents to focus on that.
So as you can see, it's the same outposts with different designs, and then the radar tower, as we know, was placed out here as a new area. So it was very similar to like how in Battlefield when you're playing Rush, you have to unlock different areas as you move forward, and then at the end of the area is the enemy's base. Basically the same thing. That's why I said this is like Battlefield 2142. You unlock several areas, and then at the end you have to fly all the way up into space and take a space station. which is a really freaking cool scenario if it works.
All teams, redirecting you to take out that mining laser. Use ships or take it on foot. Whatever it takes, it's gotta go.
Definitely less violence in 4.1. I don't think we can take out the mining laser.
All right, so that gives you a quick preview of what's going on back in the war room here. So Theaters of War, this is the new objective-based game mode, and it's within Star Marine where the key focus is combined arms. We're putting everything together, and this mode really combines all the work we put into Star Marine, Arena Commander, Squadron, PU into one cohesive battle on foot, in vehicles, in the air, all working together to accomplish some common objective or to stop some common objective from being taken. And the idea is that this happens in some sort of historical Star Citizen setting, a story from our lore. So ultimately, Star Citizen hasn't just always been an FPS or just an arena shooter on its own. It's really more accurately described as the ultimate in sandbox gameplay. You've got all kinds of vehicles, all kinds of weapons, so let's put them together and let's have some fun. So really, why did we build this, right? Well, at some point in the PU, we are going to get to that level of combat going on. Now, you know, that the combat in the PU happens a little more sparsely, and it has to do a little bit with the player counts, but the minute that we put all this stuff together, this better be fun. We can't make it fun after the fact. It's got to be fun before. So it really gives us a really, really solid analytical environment to really hone the gameplay, balance things against each other. So again, how many shots does it take of a railgun to take down an Ursa? How many Ursa shots does it take down to take a Valkyrie? All of these things, they do happen in the PU, but a little more sparsely. And it can take some time. So having said that, when combat occurs, it's really got to be fun. So to reiterate the key points, you know, Theaters of War is another game mode like Elimination or Last Stand in Star Marine. So, and again, combined arms, everything's in play. So what do we want to achieve with this? Well, we want to be able to balance all this. We also want to give you a solid 30-minute experience where you can come in, have some fun, and get out. In the times when we're all so busy, you can't always play for 3 hours. You can't always play for 4 hours. We need actually a real quick, arcadey kind of combat, but not different than Star Citizen. It's got to be the same. And that's a really key point here. We didn't develop really anything drastically new for this. This is using the exact same assets from the PU, same balance, same everything. And if anything, we've taken a lot of the stuff that we found within Theaters of War, that we found on fun, and we apply it to the PU from there. So it gives us a really good spot to be able to do all that.
Okay, So they did obviously develop the locations for this that wasn't in the PU, but that second part where they do get to kind of benefit from the fact that they made this, they're bringing it in now. And I'm betting that 6 months ago, they were just kind of like, hey, do we have any assets we can use to make a good area for a sandbox opportunity that we haven't used yet? And somebody was like, hey, you know what? We still have that stuff from Theaters of War. Clearly, they didn't plan on bringing this in for the specific application it got, but doesn't matter. Basically, Star Citizen 4.1 began its journey back here at CitizenCon 2024 or 2949 because they eventually did get the chance to reuse this stuff in the game to actually benefit something, which is pretty good. But this is such a long talk about this topic. What is this? Come on.
It's like the teams have asymmetrical loadouts.
Character presets, okay. Yeah, so this is really just describing this whole thing, and I mean, it's a bit long-winded.
In the history of Star Citizen, the last 100 years, 200 years, 300 years before the present day PU. And we found this great story. And the story takes place in the Nexus system. So in the Nexus system, there's a notorious outlaw gang, and there's a lot of outlaw gangs within the Nexus system, but this particular one is specifically aggressive. So the Supreme is the name of the outlaw gang in this particular one, and they're facing off against an elite advocacy squad that has come to retake one of the planets. So to give you some backstory on the Nexus system was totally unclaimed. The Hathor group, which was a mining group, came in, but all they really cared about was mining. So as long as profits were being made, they totally looked the other way. And what that sort of evolved into was a really perfect sort of petri dish for a ton of crime. And in the end, Hathor group strip mined the entire area, pulled out, and just left it as it was. And that obviously devolved into something pretty criminal. So with that, pretty much anybody that's doing anything bad in the universe is going to have some time crossing through the Nexus system, and that's where the moniker, the Crossroads of Crime, came from. So over time, the advocacy, or UEE specifically, said, you know, we can't just leave this alone, and the advocacy, being more or less the interstellar police force, went in to retake the system. So rather than give it up, the Supreme would rather see the whole thing destroyed, they're of this nature, before giving it up to the advocacy.
Yeah,
One
Nexus
of the interesting
is kind of
sort
like
of
Pyro.
identifying
They're pretty
things
similar.
about the Supreme is that though they're super aggressive, they kind of take all comers, and they're not super well educated. So what you'll notice is that as the Supreme took over the base from the Hathor group, they actually use like pictograms and signs because not all their guys can read. It's kind of an interesting backstory to these guys, but though they can't read, they also use these pictograms to actually throw off the enemy, which is super interesting.
Good lore. We're so dumb
So
we
let's
confuse
give you a bit of
you.
an overview of Theaters of War. So again, we're applying a lot of the player feedback that we've heard from Star Marine, from PU, and from all the different sort of
so
arena
this is
command.
it's different from what we have because we have the 3 different places and then the central location, the central. We have the 3 different buildings. All have their own buildings and radar dish, and then you also have a bunker. So there's actually more locations than what they had here. But the basic, the frame, the structure is there. The idea, the radar tower, the mining laser, and the interior locations. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, this was clearly Theaters of War was like a failure for them. It was just not the right idea. It didn't work out for them. But I'm betting they have gotten some benefits from it here and there. I guess the problem is, like, this is a case of making the best out of a poor situation. And I'm sure a lot of people wish there was never the poor situation. But I do wonder if there are any other pieces of assets and content like this that they've got just kind of sitting around gaining dust that they can eventually put into Star Citizen once they have the devs that are available to work on them. So it's kind of what we see with some features in ships. So maybe that'll continue to be what we see with content. We did see that Tessa Bannister's coming back in soon, so that's kind of another removal of the game that's making a re-emergence. Hopefully we see more. But yeah, that's kind of Theaters of War, where it came from, and a little bit of its background, and then they got to play it a bit at that CitizenCon, I think.
To each other, right? They're yelling at the enemy. We've got them on comms so they can talk to each other. And it's actually been
Look at how much
really
fun they're
The energy is
having.
fantastic. You can see that people are really enjoying being able to get that sort of 30-minute adrenaline-packed, high-octane kind of experience right in your face.
Yes.
There was a great moment where somebody was yelling out, 55, you got to get better. And the guy was like, well, raise your landing gear and learn to lock on. You know, you can really tell the good pilots from the bad pilots, by the way. So if you want to look
by
really
the way
good,
they crash.
make sure you raise your landing gear.
Yeah, lots of talk. Oh, and then they had a little interview. Him and Rich had an interview at the end of that. Dude, this server. Oh my god, it does not shut up.
That's when we can start talking.
Then we have that debate proper.
And, do we need it? How does that impact the rest of it? So I think that's where we're at with it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Where we're at with what?
It's got to go, I shoot the gun, it's then got to go up to the server from my client, and then it's go from the server to somebody else's client. So we want to make sure that the networking is absolutely on point, and then, I think that's when we can start talking.
Then we have that debate proper.
And, do we need it? How does that impact the rest of it? So I think that's where we're at with it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Who's next?
So, will the Theatres of War have a day-night cycle or an environment weather cycle?
I wanted it in.
Yes,
I wanted
really
it
wanted
in.
it.
We have a bug. So and it's a pretty big one, and it's actually already fixed, and it got fixed for the keynote, but I didn't get it fixed for theaters. It's my fault. I was branched off. Whatever. It's okay. But yes, basically that sun was meant to move. So during the phases, and we actually did this back in the, maybe I can't mention, on another game anyways. We would do this, that certain parts in it, because again, it only happens over 30 minutes. Like, how much are you going to see the sun move in 30 minutes? Probably not a lot. But I can actually encourage that a little bit by just animating it. The sun is a real thing in Star Citizen. Like, it still blows my mind that it's actually there in the disc. We can move it around. We can also rotate the planet if we want. So what I wanted was in phase 1, it was actually morning. And in phase 2 was afternoon. And then in phase 3, the planet's looking so incredible at, everybody's seen the screenshots, but it's sunset, right? And then I wanted that sunset during phase 3. So to answer your question, yes, absolutely. But it won't be, it's not like a real day-night cycle. It is, as soon as I move the sun, it looks like night.
Well, the one thing to note as well is that we've not faked anything.
Yeah.
Even you look at the Good Doctor, there's a whole planet there with, you've got that tiny little map, that arena that's have everything, but it's all real. It's all like the PU. It's all there. So, day and night cycle, everything that's in the PU is totally possible in Theatres of War.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my question.
Cool.
Thank you. Sean, who is the voice of the mission briefer?
I know, it almost, I actually don't know. No, I swear to you, I don't know. Who do you think it is?
Twitch chat was pretty convinced it was you.
I know, it kind of, I was going to say it sounds like me, but it's
Somebody
not,
said
I
it was
promise you.
a cousin from the office.
It's not. I did
Who's
voice
next?
for a game, though. You can look that up. That's fun.
Hey, yeah, just a quick question about where you've added new smaller zones to fight in. Will we be getting more close combat weapons?
Oh, yeah, Rich would want to talk
boarding
about this.
axes, entrenching tools.
Let's talk
even
about some
bats.
damage types and stuff.
Oh yeah, let's get into that. Where are we going with? Oh boy,
when you look at the breakdown of FPS.
See, this is before their major Squadron 42 focus restructure thing. Like, they were building Squadron here quite a bit, but this was before Rich took on Squadron and really tried to get it produced, so they hadn't quite started moving people over. So I bet they had different ideas for how FPS was about to go after all this. Come on, then play.
Weapons across, the whole of the PU. We've got that standard foundation in terms of the, the classes, you say SMGs, snipers, the different loadouts. And then we've got the more exotic weaponry. So, we just released the salvo last patch. But we've got a long roadmap of weapons that, because we've populated the kind of like base weapons you'd expect from a, modern military shooter. Now we're starting to get to the fun stuff. So we've got some really cool stuff. I can't talk about it today, but to answer your question, yes.
Talk about the 3.8.
We've got some really cool stuff.
Talk about the 3.8.
Thank you very much.
We were in terms of 3.8, we've got the Lightning Bolt company that's already on the roadmap, and that's going to bring some really interesting gameplay that ties into the melee system and stun, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah, not to beat too much on it, but you really do need that environment to be able to bring those kind of weapon types online. Again, if you have these really exotic kind of ammo types and you don't rigorously play them, you're going to get some wackiness happening. So now that we've got these environments to be able to do this, I think, yeah, you'll see some fun stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, God. These talks are definitely a lot more awkward than the newer ones. Up until, like, 2022, I want to say. CitizenCon is just kind of a rough thing to watch. Not every year, but not everything about it, but I think most years of CitizenCon up until 2022, or up until basically the pandemic made them stop doing them physically, it was just, oh, guys. Woo! Let's refactor this a little bit. And they did. Thank God. But yeah, that's Theaters of War. That's where it started. And now we're seeing the results of it in 4.1. Yay! Theaters of War difference is respawn and closed session. Yeah, which is cool. And it is nice in certain situations. Sad to see so much hype for a game mode that will never be released or released in a different state 6 years later. Yeah. It is. If I could go back in time and ask a question at that mic, what would I ask? Specifically to Rich Tyrer and Sean Tracy? I don't... Yeah, I don't know. Would that be like I'm asking about information that I didn't know at that time or that I don't know now? Because I know a lot now compared to then. Lightning Bolt Company didn't bring stun and it happened 6 years after this event. No, the Lightning Bolt weapons came out quite a while ago, but they brought stun damage, but they didn't bring like a knockout feature. Like they apply stun damage or something. Can't remember what it's called. It basically, I think it makes you either slow down or stop moving or something. It builds up with each shot. When were those weapons? I think that was 3.10 maybe or so. 3.10, yeah. So basically like 9 months after that. Think they'll ever actually release Theaters of War? Not like that, no. I think it'll just be part of Arena Commander. Hey, no problem, Stanko. Thanks for watching the deep dive. Incendiary bullet, AP bullet, HE bullet. Different bullet types and damage types. They talked about that at that CitizenCon too. They do static buildup that increases the damage and AoE of the rounds with each successive shot. If stun is supposed to be a part of it, it isn't right now. Are you sure? I could have sworn the lightning gun introduced new damage types with it, and that was part of the Let's see. I don't know if they're distinct. Like, I don't know if they actually... If they have a specific effect on them. I thought that they slowed you down. But... I'm pretty sure they came with a different type of damage applied to it. Cav, I don't know how to freaking lightning. 4.1 is in testing, yeah. The Ubrev sniper, yeah. Weird. This would have been probably here. Yeah. All right, let's see what they say, because maybe they didn't actually implement it after they said.
New energy damage type. Electron damage is a new energy damage type that we've got going in game, and it's comprised of several different other damage types, really. It's a little bit of energy, a little bit of distortion, and a little bit of a new damage type that we have under the hood called stun. So the damage types we've got in game at the moment, they're a little bit more straightforward, as in we've got ballistic.
So it's supposed to have stun, but I guess if they never really specify what stun does, they don't have to make it do anything. But I'm hoping that even if it's not a noticeable difference, we still do have that damage type, and they don't have to make it again. You know, it's just kind of, it's already there. They just have to tweak the variables of what it does to us.
Laser, and it's kind of like very straightforward what those things do. There's no like additional special behavior.
Yeah, they're still lethal.
One of the big things about Electron is there's multiple levers we can kind of pull as designers. It's comprised of energy damage, distortion damage, and something called stun damage, which you will have seen in the new melee damage systems. So with the new damage type,
okay. So stun damage is what you get when you're meleeed. That makes sense, because when you're getting punched, you never actually die. You just kind of slowly get to the point where you pass out, which I guess is how we're supposed to eventually take people out without killing them.
New weapons to go with that, and after a discussion with the writers,
it's just that this gun has stun damage, so it technically works, but because it also has electron damage, it will kill you first. I see.
We thought Lightning Bolt Company would be the best fit that we kind of had on paper. It was only a couple of sentences, but there's a corporation matrix that we looked through, and we saw that it was like they were called Lightning Bolt Company, and it was like a PMC turned like military weapons manufacturer. Oh, they're sick of everyone else's crap. It was quite cool to kind of link them in and get something really in the game.
Damn, just a really, really skilled group of people.
The two weapons that we wanted to work on were a sniper rifle and a pistol, because they're like opposite ends of the spectrum. We get to test this new damage type really thoroughly with them both.
When it came time to start modeling the actual weapons in-game, it starts off with a website that has the development of the weapon up to that point. We're given a concept piece as well as a concept model. It's been rendered in Keyshot, which just adds some materials to it, so, which is great for us to work from, to be honest, because it allows us to already build upon the work of somebody else's, so you can get a better product in the end of things. And then it's our job to kind of take that to a functionable level. A lot of the time you have to make changes such as, oh, this grip is too far away, this doesn't quite work. You have to kind of rejig the concept so it's actually functional too.
Not gonna lie, I'm actually not a huge fan of these guns. They look real cool and fun, but I just wanted to look them up because so there is a damage type to them. It's just not really something that's that noticeable.
And in addition to that, it's got the electron behavior on top of it. Plus, on top of that,
That also I guess probably is the reason why they maybe are a little bit longer time to kill.
Electron damage between targets, with the damage getting less and less each jump that it does.
Some of the key elements of lightning weapons are the moving parts. All those things that you don't really see on other weapons really make this one stand out. So the sniper rifle has the vents at the side that open up, it has all the pins that spin, same as the pistol, but I think the pistol is more of a shrunken down version of the sniper rifle.
Which fires obviously a lot
That makes
faster than
sense.
the sniper rifle, but it is weaker. But what that does mean is, if you do shoot someone, you can shoot them quickly twice in succession.
It makes it a lot more exciting to use and wield. Just the reload animation alone, getting that to work as well is a challenge, but I think it's really worth it for how you get to like whip it out and you have to take it out. It's a bit like a flare gun. That gives a lot of opportunities for VFX artists to play around as well and see some VFX there.
Once we had the concept put together, some effects just to initially block out how the gameplay loop would work, so like placeholder effect.
To make sure that we were giving them kind of these items all over the gun that you can see when you're doing your shots, doing your reloads.
Yeah, the effects from the Volt weapons actually even look better than this, so these will probably end up looking better soon too. Yeah, I would much prefer the LH86 to this. That gun's amazing. I love that thing. Gemini's obsession with moving as many bullets as quickly as possible. Preacher Armaments Judge Stun Pistol shown in 2020. Yes, there is a Preacher Taser. I think I have maybe some... Oh, I can't access my server anymore, so we can't look up the footage. Well, it's probably pretty easy to find, yeah. Preacher Armaments. And that just... I just lost access to... Okay, there we go. Stun gun. There we go. Ooh, nice butt. So this is supposed to be our first non-lethal weapon. We'll see when we get it, but we've been waiting for it a long time. Those are shown when Fallout 76 was coming out, actually. That was like 2019, 2020. It's actually a couple years after Fallout 76. That was shown in the hype train for Starfield. It's kind of funny. Yeah, it probably comes with a bounty hunting update. That'd be good content. This, the restraints, and the bounty hunting update all together would be a solid drop. You're a Ubrev boy now? Really? You go for the Ubrev over the LH86. For 1,000 years in the future, this stun gun looks exactly like the ones we have now. Listen, yeah. The people that are 1,000 years in the future from now look like they just pulled their designs out of history books. So I'm not surprised anymore. They're just real nostalgic for the bad days. We do already have the Nerf guns. They were on offshoot of the cartridge physics of this one, that's right. But the Nerf guns are not damaging enough, unfortunately. Gotta get over the bounty hunting not working with server meshing. That's the PvP contracts, right? A reminder that SC is not a simulator, but it is a 90s-70s sci-fi movie simulator. Yeah, it's a simulator of its own thing. You're a WoW Blaster man yourself? Dude, I'll just take the torpedo burrito. Do me in with the burrito and I'm all good. Somebody's gonna soundbite that. Maverick, thank you for the bit, my man. Oh, the multiple bits. Multiple bitties. What is the word for farming? What do you mean? Oh, for like farming? Engagement farming? Baiting? That burrito can disarm ships in one bite. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Only bounties you hunt are dead ones unless you make 4 times the money for alive, or maybe like the person doesn't even give you the job if you kill them. Agriculture. Okay. Yeah, agriculture. Sorry, I was not fully, because I was like, the word for farming. Ain't that farming? Yeah, Arctic Wolf. We need more of that. Now it's basically Mario Bros. Brother, that is the most amazing Mario Bros ever. To be quite honest, I would be happy with that Mario Bros game. Please give us that, Nintendo. Probably finish it faster than CIG. Could have worded your question better? No problem. I don't read good. We have anything else to go over here? Oh, have they done This Week in Star Citizen yet? I feel like they had to have released that by now. No? What? Why? Why? Why so late? They released at 5 p.m. last week. What happened? What happened, CIG? Isn't it like 7 p.m. over there? Really, Google, you can't just tell me what the current UTC time is. Yeah, it's almost 8 p.m. Where the heck is This Week in Star Citizen? Well, until then, why don't we watch the Inside Star Citizen that I never watched? Didn't get a chance to watch this one. We've been busy the last couple weeks. Thank you for subbing up. Bacha girly. Appreciate you. Mario Kart is nice, but the most laughs you ever had was with Smash Bros. Dude, Smash Bros. Is incredible. Holy crap. Oh my gosh. Nothing's happening this week. This Week in Star Citizen? Nothing. Okay, sorry guys. That was loud. Was that me or them? That was me.
Into some Frontier Fighters last week.
See, okay, so that was the same volume that the other Star Citizen videos were at, just to show you how much better they got at their audio mixing over time.
Bunch of douchebags tried to explain why I was helping the cause. Oh,
that's me.
Okay, sorry. I should read it first.
You're probably wondering what I'm doing here. I mean, besides looking like Dr. Eggman. These suits are not flattering. Anyway, as part of our content-driven initiative this year, we're adding a few more tools to our in-game storytelling, because reading endless data pads is really kind of lame.
Yeah.
And because I work cheap and say yes to a lot of things,
yes, this is what we've been asking for.
I'll be playing a new role inside the Persistent universe. This is Dev Diary, Performance Artist.
Great music choice. Great opening.
This is our performance capture stage. It's a little over 2,000 square feet with more than 50 OptiTrack cameras. We can capture up to 4 faces and 8 performers all at the same time, doing just about anything the human body can achieve.
Man, I'd be so freaking self-conscious of my dry ass lips. And no, I didn't say ass lips. I said dry ass space lips. Biggest motion capture studios in the UK. All right, so how is there not just like a list of the biggest? Imaginarium is... Oh, what the... I was just looking for the size, and then suddenly Star Citizen is already listed as using this. Production company linked to digital... Blah, blah, blah. Founded by Andy Serkis. Oh, that would explain why they used it. Maybe they had a deal with him. God, of course it's freaking Andy Serkis. Like, that dude really loves his acting motion capture, huh? All right, so how big then is this? How big is the imaginary... I can't spell. No, that's in California. Cal Expo in Sacramento. Right, that's super close to me. How big is the Imaginarium in the UK? Dude, okay. I'm so sorry. I'm not even interested in looking at this anymore. You love how this came out in one stream. Yeah, it was like 2 days after we were having, like, somebody on our stream was like really, really saying that we... Wait, wasn't that... Hustle Bones, was that you? That was saying that they needed to stop putting stuff in text? It was like the week before this. Go away, AI answers. Yeah, well... Also, I just kind of wanted a list. I thought Wikipedia would have a list of, like, biggest motion capture studios. I'm surprised they don't. All right, here's a top source from Star Citizen Refunds. Remember when they were building their own motion capture studio? Abandoned their in-house studio. Partner with Versa Studios. What is this? Versa Studios partnered with Cloud Imperium Games to launch a motion capture studio, taking up residence in Versa's Manchester 4,300 square foot Studio 6, and will create content for the campaign and single player, part of a larger deal. Wow. Part of a larger campus in Manchester that joins with studios in Austin, blah, blah, blah. Manchester campus, it's over 600. Versa and work together on the facility, repurposing former TV galleries. Also made use of the studio's grid. Wait, so what was the... Now I'm curious of what the post was about. Why the switch to an external partner? Is this cost-cutting measure? Snippets of mocap work supposedly from their in-house studio, building their own mocap studio. Is this not considered the in-house studio they were building? Created a full suite, enabled them to focus on pushing the boundaries, deliver across the full spectrum. I'm just looking for a size kind of thing, man. I don't think it says. Oh well. It's a big studio. It's a large space, but it's not just theirs. They've partnered with another company to create it, sounds like.
8 performers all at the same time doing just about anything the human body can achieve. From dramatic moments like this.
Copy that. Tally's on me.
Do it.
To even the most action-filled.
Not on my ship.
I've entered the station.
It's one of the biggest, quietest, and most technologically advanced performance capture stages of its kind in all of Europe.
Bit of bad luck, that.
I can't confirm that, Jared.
Not to worry, though.
And it's located right across the way from our Manchester office in the old Granada Studios.
Not on my
That
ship.
famous facility where the Beatles had their very first televised performance way back in the day. Okay, not this room, but the one next to it. It's close. In addition to the big fancy...
So this is, I mean, this is basically an in-house studio, no? Like, it's either them or the Versa team that uses this. I don't know. I feel like that seems like a pretty good asset. It's not solely theirs, but I wonder how much ownership they have over it.
There are backstage areas as well, including our face scanning room where performers are tortured for about an hour into contorting their faces into every shape you can imagine.
Wow.
And a few you wish you hadn't. The cast green room, where you can sit and be intimidated by some of the incredible talent that we've had over the years. As well as a number of dressing rooms normally reserved for talent. But on this day, this one is being held for me, the person that walked in front of CR and Dave Haddock at just the right moment 3 weeks ago. My room has pictures of the main man, Mark Hamill, who should need no introduction to anyone watching year 12 of this show.
Shifty, what's the name of that article? I'll look it up.
On this day, my call was after lunch, which usually means they wanted to get the important stuff out of the way first and expect me to waste a bunch of their time because I don't really know what I'm doing. Here, I check in with everyone. I'm going to try really hard
Jesus,
not
that's
to
a huge picture of Chris.
I know what I'm doing. Here.
Is that a freaking intimidation tactic? So like when you're down here filming and you look up, it looks like the CEO is just looking at you?
I check in with everyone. I'm going to try really hard not to disappoint for the rest of the afternoon. Folks like CJ, Katie, Natalie, and Juan of the mocap crew, they're responsible for tracking the body and telling me I move like an angel. Vasilios and Scott on the facial crew, and the reason that I've had to shave recently. Justin and Aaron from audio, who provide encouragement when my voice becomes just a bit too nasally. The producers, John and Eleanor, who make certain everything gets done. And the director, Dave Haddock. You know, I made this guy a star with Lore Makers back in the day, and now he big times me and will spend most of today telling me to tune things down because, well, I'm a chronic overactor.
Yeah, Dave really shot up in the company.
Now with the call time met, it's time to start getting ready. And that begins by going to the markering room and getting fitted for a helmet. You know, I'll take the XXL
What is it called? Versa launches. Versa launches motion capture studio in Manchester. Televisual. Versa Studios has partnered with games developer CIG to create a permanent motion capture studio. Work on the studio began in 2022 to create a bespoke production home for Cloud Imperium games at Versa Manchester Studios, enabling the company to further develop their UK operations. The motion capture studio is part of a larger CIG campus in Manchester. Okay, so here we go. 4,300 square feet. Taking up residence in Versa Manchester's 4,300 square foot Studio 6 gaming content. They built it. Versa TV helped repurpose. A bespoke truss system was installed by CIG on the perimeter of the studio floor. State-of-the-art motion capture trigger. Yeah, so this is definitely a partnership. Have also made use of the studio's grid monopole system brought back to life by Versa. The acoustic build quality of the studio was fundamental with rigorous sound testing carried out by Versa. Cloud Imperiums established their headquarters in Hart. The wider Versa facilities include mid-century modern design dressing rooms, beautiful green rooms, featuring portraits taken during their earlier shoot at the Imaginarium of Cloud Imperium's all. Okay. So they did use the Imaginarium before. And that's where all those portrait shots come from. Cool. And then accommodates varied shooting schedule, which will see UK and international actors performing and being filmed throughout the year. Latest partners to take up residence at Versa Manchester Studios. The campus is also the permanent home of BBC Morning Live and recently hosted the critically acclaimed Kagami. So there are other tenants there. It's just this studio. It's not the whole building. It's this specific studio that is solely for Cloud Imperium. I see. So the building is multiple studios. This is just their studio that they built. I see. So it's not like they built the whole building with the whole, with all the studios inside. My friend, stop telling people how to spend money. Just tell them how you would, and then move on.
Ellen Noggin, please.
I think the sides are fine.
Nobody tell people that they should buy ships or that they should not buy ships in this chat. Just give your advice and move on.
We'll put medium there. How does it feel on the top?
Then it's off to the dressing room to squeeze myself into what Jonathan Booth, the man behind Jax McCleary himself, referred to as essentially
large black condom.
Yeah, I really let this go to air. Let's go get yelled at by Natalie. Next, it's back to the markering room where they tell you that you've dressed yourself poorly. Fix all of your mistakes, then attach all the tracking dots to various positions. Testing to ensure they won't move or fall off with the various movements I'll have to do in
it's so goofy. It's all so goofy, but It makes some great results. Oh, you have nothing to be sorry, Oscar. You can say that you do buy ships. That's fine. I'm just saying, don't go telling people that they shouldn't or should. Just let them live. Like you can totally give your reasons for why you do or don't. It's just, yeah, you get what I mean. What about the Atlas Geo for Sick Planet drops? Oh yeah, no, dude, actually, absolutely buy that. All the time, do it. All of them. Use your whole credit card.
A few minutes.
And you can relax. And that is your marker.
Fully markered, we now return to the stage where it's time to fit and adjust our helmet and camera setup. Here, they're discussing the fact that I broke my neck over 25 years ago, and it's left me with a tendency to bob and nod unnecessarily when talking. So we're gonna have to tighten this thing to insane levels to keep the expensive camera from flying all over the place.
I don't want that camera
Now,
on my face.
it's
Sorry.
time to do the range of motion checks, in which I get to demonstrate my utter lack of flexibility and complete inability to tell my left from my right in front of everyone to see. It's an important step in humbling the chosen performer before they get to all that acting stuff in just a few minutes. I would later learn that it's also necessary for technical calibration or whatever. They tried to explain it to me, but in this moment, I was completely convinced that this was a shame-based hazing ritual and plotting my revenge on everyone in attendance. Finally, it's time to get a bunch of dots put on my face, which I'm absolutely certain in this moment I will forget to wash off my face before returning to my desk later today.
Toes. Dude, that was so
Now that I've been fully
Who
prepped
did that?
for work.
Who the heck just did that? That was the most perfectly timed toes I've ever heard in this stream. Well done. You should be proud.
It's time to set up the scene.
Oh, dead set. Hey, thank you for that, dude. Thank you for the sub and 50 months. Holy crap. What character would you like to play if CIG gave you the chance? Dude, I don't know. For starters, I'd never be in the game. I want to be. I do not want to be associated with the company like that. It's just, no thanks. But I would love to be the Shadow Broker. Just give me Liara's ship from Mass Effect 2, I think it was. Put me off in some gas giant with a storm raging all the time and be my little lonesome self in the corner of space, walking around, sending out data stuff. Oh, Master Chief, that's a good one. Master John. Chief Halo. Or is it John Halo?
Shoot, I'll be playing an SSN Newsflash anchor named James Harriman. This is James Harriman with an SSN Newsflash. The brief I was given is that 900 years in the future, these are low attention span vignettes of under a minute that are hosted by a news pro that does not get excitable or include his personal opinions in his reading of the facts. Basically, short and with as little of himself as possible. I have no idea why they came to me for this, and it's possible I'm being punked right now. But I'm gonna try really hard not to let anyone down. Shocking news out of the Stanton system with the recent attacks by Frontier fighters on the Invictus celebrations. And in addition to news about
Okay, so definitely an Invictus Week event, I guess.
the ongoing threat of the Frontier fighters, I'm also doing reports about a new threat to all human life in the verse that begins to rear its head in the upcoming Alpha 4.1 with the start of this year's B story, concerning a suspected failure of regen technologies, which we'll learn more about in just a couple of weeks.
I guess if it's just starting to rear its head in 4.1, then it very well could be the precursor to starting to introduce like medical insurance and cloning and limbs and stuff like that. They're probably going to use that as a way to start introducing that over the next year. Not the whole death of a spaceman mechanic, but actor status T2, possibly. We need an entire station of just Jared NPCs, a whole army. Yeah, it'd be like that Rick and Morty episode where there were a bunch of Rick's dad, or Morty's dad, I don't remember what his name is. I should probably watch your videos to know this, but what's your favorite ship? I like the C1 a lot. I love that ship. That'd be great. But I also really like the Vulcan. But it's not in game, so I don't know it yet. Be honest, so they slide you cash under the table, right? No, dude, I'm broke. I'm literally f***ing broke. I can't afford a hard drive. all you people who think that CIG pays me, sweet Jesus. I don't get a salary. I get paid from this. I get paid from you guys. We make money based on how many times I'm live. That's why when I'm sick, I'm live. If I've had a bad day, I'm live. If something else is happening, I'm live. We're live and we work based on our money. We don't get paid by CIG. That'd be freaking nuts. It's just the wildest theory. Like that vault from Fallout New Vegas and clones in it. I don't remember Fallout New Vegas that well, I'm not gonna lie. I did not play that much of that game. I mostly watched it on YouTube. And I think I've lost music access. Oh! Nope, it's back. You're live? Also not want their money for shit-talking purposes. Yeah. We can't even, like... It's not... You don't get to have fun. You don't get to have fun if you can't make fun of the company you're covering. Would you use the Hull E when it comes out? No. Dude, the Hull E? Wait, I think I have an animation for that. Yeah. It's from a video a while ago. When I say it's big game is the Hercules C. Shh. So this is the C2, right? 700 around 700 SCU. The freaking Hull C dwarfs it, right? And then the Hull E compared to the Hull C, oh boy, is stupidly big. So will I ever fly a Hull E? No. Okay, because if I crash in a Hull E, I'm gonna just bankrupt the entire org, and I don't think somebody else can take care of that, and I'll just yell at them if they mess up. Ooh. Because even a Hull C is hard to fill up, right? Imagine how long it would take to fill up a Hull E manually. It's like a 2-day project. So I don't know if I'll ever fly that thing. That'd be nuts.
The UEE Senate has put out a call for resources to help fund the scientific research needed to overcome the regen crisis.
And while I'm here, they've also asked me to do some minor, mocap-only business for a Squadron 42 newscaster, shuffling some data pads around with my hands. That's Adam. Adam is here asking me if I've ever used my hands to move things before. Not really, Adam. I'm very, very good at all of this. Then lastly, I'm doing a few more pickups for random NPCs you'll find in the Stanton and Pyro systems related to these ongoing narratives.
Are you sure I can't do an imprint today? I have a really important memory I just made and I don't want to lose it.
Would you believe I used to be the darling of the community theater scene?
Getting a little tired of these frontier fighters. I would have been on their side if they didn't go and start attacking innocent people to prove their point. Now, they're just another bunch of assholes.
Ultimately, these newscasts and NPC encounters
Good for you,
are
Jared.
just some of the ways we're working to improve the storytelling of our persistent universe, including a real actor bringing another brand new character to the verse. But you'll meet him and his species soon enough.
Okay, so they have the full motion capture for the Banu. I'm guessing that's who this is.
Another brand new character to the verse. But you'll meet him and his species soon enough.
And all of this is just one small aspect of the work being done to improve our sense of character and narrative storytelling in the persistent universe. And like the ongoing bug fixes, stability improvements, and overall quality of life changes being made by our fantastic programmers and engineers right now, these updates will roll out in releases throughout the remainder of this year. So for Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the people and process of game development with you. And we'll see you all here in 2 weeks.
Whoa!
We'll look at the upcoming Alpha 4.1.
They cut him off. Wait, what? Oh, no. Hold on. When did this come? Okay, this is 11 days ago. So, okay. So let's see. They didn't do Inside Star Citizen last week because they had the ship stuff. So it sounds like this Inside Star Citizen is just going to be what's in 4.1, which makes sense. It's right when they're going to release it.
With a look at share the people and Alpha 4.1 with you. And we'll see you all here in 2 weeks with a look at the upcoming Alpha 4.1.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll have anything extra in there. I'm guessing they'll do a little spot on the... What's it called? What's that new ship? The Golem. We'll probably do a spot on that and then just talk about the rest of the features coming in 4.1. I still haven't gotten it. Have they put those streams back into the PTU yet? I still haven't seen them. More concise with their content delivery. They are. They're getting better at it. Hopefully they stick to this. All right, well, it looks like I'm just not going to be able to do a This Week in Star Citizen this week, which is generally why I never do them, because they always post it very late. But, you know, so be it. It was worth a try. You think it's coming soon because they just updated the store? I don't know, man. You ever played Bootstrap Island? No, cool VR game. Never really played VR before. They're giving us the cliff notes without the exposition, which is great. As much as I'm interested in the history of the game, of the universe, first just talk about the game. I feel that. I appreciate that it's also in-game that we're learning about it and not through like posts on the Galactopedia or lore posts on the website or something. It's like people talking in-game. Oh, this doesn't even show up on the main page. That's interesting. But yeah, there's no This Week in Star Citizen yet. All right, I'm gonna get going, guys. This is why I try not to put myself on CIG's schedule. But hopefully I can get this recorded at another time, another dates, another place for you guys. I got to get going. We got some work to do. Me and Mrs. Tomato. We got to get this NAS working. I just saw Zarek post some advice for that. Thank you. I will take that one into account as well. I'm gonna try the new drives. You're saying get another drive with Windows on it. Add it to the NAS. I'm hoping I can just replace the drives that are there. But we'll see how it goes. Either way, thank you everybody for coming to this stream. Hope you enjoyed it. Got to learn something. Got some entertainment. Got something out of it. Yeah, they're gonna drop it right after I go live. That's that's fine. I will I'll get the video done either way. Yeah, hopefully the NAS issue figures itself out. Cause that's rough. Yeah. But we'll get it. We'll figure it out. Why isn't my raid button working? Alright, y'all. Once again, thank you for being here. Hope you enjoyed your time today. Have a fantastic Monday. Have a great rest of your week. I'll see you on Wednesday for some gameplay and some good fun. Maybe some mining or 4.1 gameplay. We'll see. Either way, eat something you love. Do something you love. Hang out with somebody you love. Give yourself a hug. Treat yourselves well. You're good people. You deserve it. I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye.